Hey friends, my name is Jackson. I'm not your average NB, and welcome back to my channel. And I'm doing like a Reddit video, a shorter Reddit video for Victoria Day weekend. So this is kind of a Victoria Day weekend special, I guess. I don't know. I'll find any excuse to make a Reddit video. So I'm gonna be just reading from like a ton of subreddits, and I'm gonna be reading basically whatever I have saved, and then starting Tuesday of next week. Starting Tuesday, I'm going to be working on my 8-year anniversary. And I know I just did my 10-year anniversary, and you guys are probably like, well, how does it go from a 10-year anniversary to an 8-year anniversary? And basically, it was the 10-year anniversary of my original channel. And in this case, it's the 8-year anniversary of my newest channel. Like, if you guys look at the date I joined 2017, May 29th. So that's why it's like that. That's why I'm doing my 8-year anniversary special. So, anyway, I wanted to start with this post, which I've heard several different times. I've heard this post several different times from several places. First on r slash's channel, and most recently on Redditor's channel, and I always love it. Like, I started Reddit by reading posts that I really enjoyed, just from reading other posts from other posts that I'd heard, and reading Reddit posts that I heard on YouTube, and then reading them on my channel because I wanted to give my opinion. Because whenever r slash weighs in, uh, uh, okay, anyway. Yes. Whenever r slash weighs in with his opinion, I always have to weigh in too, and I'm curious. And anyway, so I'm gonna start with this one from Am I the Asshole? Am I the asshole for not attending my daughter's gender reveal for her lizard? And you guys know I love any story that has a lizard in it. And this person was marked as the asshole. This is literally really stupid, but she's really upset about it. So I'm 48, and my daughter, who's 23, has a blue tongue skink who she heavily adores. She jokingly refers to it as her daughter. I mean, yeah, my snake is my son, my scaly son. That's what I call him. Anyway, I found it weird, but she says it's because it's the closest thing she'd have to a child, and she feels a strong emotional bond similar to a child. She has decided to remain child free for multiple reasons, and I have been very supportive of this decision. We'll learn later that she's not actually that supportive and kind of bitter. Well, she recently took her skink to the vet for a checkup and was excited to find out her skink's gender. Afterwards, I got a text asking if I'd come to her gender reveal party she was having. She explained it was just a small get together with cake and food for her friends she hasn't seen in a while, with the gender reveal being mostly a joke and a way to make fun of real gender reveals. Well, I didn't come. I didn't see a point. It's just a lizard, and I'm a busy person. She later called me and expressed that she was kind of sad that I didn't come because it had been a while since I'd seen her, but she understood I was busy. I told her she couldn't actually expect me to come to a gender reveal for a lizard. She said that it wasn't a real gender reveal, that it was more of a joke, and it was really just a small gathering to catch up with everyone. I told her if that was the case, she should have just called it a gathering, because I'm not coming to a gender reveal unless it's for a real granddaughter. That's really screwed up. Yeah, see, that's bitter. That makes it sound like you're bitter that she didn't actually have kids, which is what you want, but not what she wants. But I guess what she wants doesn't matter, and what she cares about doesn't matter, which is what you're showing her by not coming to the party. You know, she got quiet for a minute and then turned my words around, claiming I wasn't supportive of her decision to be child free. I told her she can't possibly expect me to treat a lizard as a granddaughter. She said she didn't expect me to, but it was clear I didn't respect her bond with her lizard and her decision, and she just wanted to see me, and my reason for coming was hurtful. My reason for not coming was hurtful. I told her she was being ridiculous over a lizard. She claimed it wasn't over the lizard, and it was a gathering, and not even centered around the lizard. But I stick by to what I said. It's ridiculous to have a gender reveal for a lizard. Okay, it wasn't a real gender reveal. You're not actually hearing what she's saying. She hung up, and I got a message from her best friend about how I'm an asshole for treating her that way. But I don't think I'm the asshole for not wanting to go to a party for a lizard. This isn't about the lizard. You're missing the point. Edit. In the time I was away, I got many replies and it was a lot to read through. Let me clear a couple things up. One, my issue is that she said the party was a gender reveal. If she had called it just a party, I would have come. But calling it a gender reveal makes it sound like it's for the lizard, and I'm not going to that, even if it is a joke. Well, that's dumb then. Yeah. I don't know why. Two, I don't know why it matters, but the skink is a girl, which is why I said I'm not coming to a gender reveal unless it's for a real granddaughter. Not sure how you knew that before, like, the gender reveal, but okay. Um, Three, even though I don't agree with my daughter for being child free, I've been supportive and only shown mild frustration. The reason she decided to be child free is she claims she's asexual. Okay, I hate the way that was worded. I'm asexual, and my mom is totally supportive of that and cool with whatever I decide to do. She doesn't care if I have grandkids or not. Like, she's not expecting grandkids from me. I mean, yes, I was born a girl, but I always knew if I always felt comfortable in the fact that if I wanted grandkids or didn't want grandkids, that she's not going to care either way. Like, obviously, if I have grandkids, she's going to be happy and involved and stuff like that. But if I don't have grandkids, she doesn't really give a shit. She's happy. She's just happy for me to live my life whichever way I want. And, right now, I'm focusing on my writing and like, there is a chance that I might adopt in the future or, like, foster or something, like, maybe foster an older kid or a teenager that has a harder time finding a home but still needs a family, someone that I actually love, someone that I could love, a kid. Like, I might do that in the future, but that's not gonna be anytime soon because financial stuff and also I'm not ready for that in any way whatsoever. But if I do foster a kid, she's gonna be really involved. But like she's always happy for me to not have kids and she's never made it feel like she's bitter that I don't have kids and she totally understands that I'm asexual and she's cool with that. Like she's always been super supportive over, the last couple years as I'm going through my whole sexuality and gender identity thing, like trying to figure out who I am you know, because I was never allowed to do that when I was older and there was too much going on for me to even think about it. And like I only started thinking about it because I don't know, it seems like it came out of nowhere. Like, all of a sudden, I broke my arm and I was like, I wonder who I am. I wonder who I am, sexually and what my gender is like if I even feel like a girl, because I never actually felt like a girl. And I don't know, but I don't know. I figured out who I was. I mean, still a process. It's still an ongoing process. I mean, I don't know. I might change my mind later. I might feel like something else. I mean, I'm still exploring things. It's not like I'm know who I am completely. But no, the way that she said she claims that she's asexual, you're obviously not supportive, and it makes me feel like she wasn't allowed to explore her gender or sexuality. And like, not only are you showing that you don't have an interest in spending time with your daughter by not going to the gathering, but you're showing that you don't actually give a shit about the things that are important to her, regardless of what they are. Like, I don't know. I just feel like if it's important to a kid, it should be important to you by extension because it's important to them. And if you don't show any interest in stuff that's important to your kid, simply because it's important to them, but because you don't care, you don't show an interest in it, that's a good way to have a bad relationship with your kid or even no relationship. Like my mom my mom has never been a big fan of snakes or tarantulas, but like she's obviously cool with them living here. And by the way, I got my snake after I moved in with my mom. Like I was talking about it before the letter even came in from my landlord saying I would have to move out for a couple months so they could renovate the place. And they were basically replacing the pipes, putting in new ceiling, stuff like that, which is good because my ceiling was literally falling down. Obviously, I did not move back. That's the thing. He gave me the letter like a year early, so a year before I moved in with my mom. So about 2 years ago, I got that letter saying I would have to move out for a couple of months during the summer. And then obviously that was extended, and then the thing happened with my grandpa, and then he couldn't help with rent anymore. So, I don't really have a choice. I'm here right now, which honestly, this is the best outcome. This is honestly the best outcome. Like, my landlord was just so much trouble with, like, and I can't really talk about it. I don't know what I'm allowed to talk about or like not talk about since, we're suing him. We're actually suing him. Anyway, the whole point is that my mom let me have my snake after I moved in with her. I literally moved in with her a couple weeks early because there was an expo coming up, and it was at the end of May, and I didn't know. The whole point was to get my snake before she went on her like month-long trip, and I did get the snake before she went on a month-long trip. There was an expo coming up in May, and I was worried that the next one would be either when she would be happening when she was gone and wouldn't be happening before she was gone. And since we can't see the date of the next expo until a few days after the last expo, I was getting worried. So me and my mom talked about it, and I moved in early and I got my snake early. And the reason why I moved in with her a little earlier than I was supposed to was because we were worried about moving my snake around too much, like just moving the tank around, and we didn't want to do that. So the idea was that I was going to move in and then get my snake. And like, I'm super surprised she even said yes to it. I didn't think she would say yes, but I guess the way I talked about it and saying that it was really important to me to have him while she was on her trip, like she was just like, okay, you know what, fine. And now she really likes him. Like she'll say hi to him, she'll look at how cute he is. I'll send her pics and she'll heart them and stuff. And I like it's a very good relationship. And my mom cares about him because he is important to me, and my mom let her have him let me have him because he was important to me, because she actually gives a shit about the things that I give a shit about, you know? Same with shows. Even if she doesn't love the show, she'll just sit and watch it with me. Like, I showed her Star vs. the Forces of Evil, and she didn't love it. She was fine with it. Like, she said she could go either way with it. And anyway, I showed it to her and she still watched it, even though she wasn't enjoying it as much as I did, obviously. Like, she was kind of indifferent about it, to be honest, but she watched it because it was important to me, you know? So anyway, um, she claims she's asexual. Yeah, just the way she said that makes it feel like she wasn't allowed to explore her sexuality or whatever, like you're not being validating of her sexuality. That is very invalidating. She just doesn't want one. She has emotional baggage She has emotional baggage and feels unable to care for a real child. She fears pregnancy and she has a carrier gene like me and doesn't want to go through what I did. And doesn't want to go through what I did is in quotes. I had 4 miscarriages and a highly defect child that died 3 months after 3 months due to the gene. Wow, okay. Okay, you got lucky that you had her, and you don't even give a shit about her. She's your rainbow baby, and you don't even care. Like, most parents would go the opposite way, like, give my rainbow baby whatever they want because they're special, which is also not the right way to go, by the way. But, like, you don't even give a shit about your child, even though it was a rainbow baby. She was a rainbow baby. These are all valid reasons, by the way. These are all valid reasons. You're like downplaying her fears. The way you have it in quotes makes it seem like, okay, whatever. Yes, there's been slight tension between us because I think she just hasn't found the right man. She never dated growing up. Okay, whatever. Look, when you say she just hasn't found the right man, makes it sound like she's aromantic and she just hasn't told you yet. And the fact that you said she never dated growing up and she just hasn't found the right man, people say that is so invalidating to people who are either asexual or aromantic. And yes, I do have a character in the book I'm working on right now that thinks they're aromantic at first and then realizes later that they're not. But I also have an aromantic character who is aromantic throughout the entire book. Like, they Like, just because they think that they're aromantic doesn't mean that it's going to stay that way. And they do find a guy, but that doesn't mean anything for it's not meant to invalidate actual aromantic people. It's like the message isn't, oh, you just haven't found the right guy yet. The message is that the character is actually demi-romantic. And the whole point is that they do have a character in the book. I do have a character in the book that will stay aromantic throughout the entire book, therefore validating aromanticism in general. That's the whole point. Like, you can think you're something and then realize that you're something else. Like, I thought I thought I was romantic at one point, and I really wanted a romantic relationship when I was in my early 20s. And I had two boyfriends and uh one boyfriend, one guy I dated for like 6 weeks. I'm not sure if I would call him my boyfriend. I don't know. I had two technically relationships, I guess, even though I don't think I was actually in love with either of those guys. And it was literally just like it was basically just I think it was more, oh, they said something nice to me and then they asked me out and I was just looking for validation in any way possible, so I said yes, kind of thing. And then, I realized later that I'm actually aromantic and I don't think I was actually in love with either of these guys, and I was just grasping at straws because I was in a really dark place in my life and I was looking for any kind of validation or any kind of positive interaction. So, they asked me out, I said yes, it didn't actually mean anything. Like, yeah, so that's just to show that you can go the other way too. Like, you can think that you want a romantic relationship at one point, and then later, you're like, actually, I'm a romantic. And then, you can, figuring out your gender and sexuality is like a lifelong thing. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't, if you're asexual, you're asexual. If you're aromantic, you're aromantic. And it's other people should be respecting you in whatever way you choose to label yourself at the time. And if that changes later on, then they should respect that too. It literally has nothing to do with them, so why do they care? I mean, obviously, it does have something to do with her because apparently her mom gives a shit because she wants grandchildren because she's actually bitter that her daughter isn't having grandchildren for her. But anyway, uh, she never dated growing up, and her other fears are unnecessarily exaggerated. Okay, you had four miscarriages and another child that died, so how is her fear exaggerated? That doesn't seem exaggerated at all. That seems totally valid. Anyway, but it's ultimately her decision, and I don't resent her. Are you sure about that? Because you're sure acting like it. Okay. Four. We haven't seen each other in 3 months. Okay, that's a while. I mean, I live with my mom, so I see her basically every day right now. There are some times when she doesn't come home at night because she goes to Toronto for work sometimes. Like, it used to be a lot more often, like every week she'd be away for 3 or 4 days at a time, but it's become less now, so that's kind of nice and also kind of annoying at the same time. But either way, she will go to Toronto for like one night overnight or sometimes more than that, and usually only one night. Recently, only one night. Baby Riley's outside the window. They're taking her for a walk. I can see them getting the stroller ready. They're so cute. Oh my god, she's so cute. Hi, Riley. She's so freaking adorable. I love her. Oh, look at her. Anyway, back to the whatever I was saying. That's not about a baby. Um, Yeah, okay. I see my mom basically every day. She goes sometimes overnight for work to Toronto, but that's about it. And that only happens occasionally right now. It might change, I don't know. But also summer's coming up, so she's gonna be around a lot more, and I'm gonna have a harder time recording videos as well. So sorry about that. But you guys already know it's tricky for me to upload during the summer. I mean, it wasn't tricky when it was a lot easier when I was living alone, but obviously that's not a factor anymore. Obviously, I'm not living alone anymore, so that's a whole thing. Um, I don't know. Anyway, I just wanted to say, like, it is a long time to not see your mom. I mean, maybe not in a normal adult life, but when I look at it from my perspective, yes, that is a long time to not see your mom. And even though I do not want to be living with my mom. I still want to see her all the time. Like, I'd still like to see her once or twice a week. I know I'd like to see her on Saturdays at least because we still do our stuff on Saturdays. We do less time together usually, but we do have a 5 hour weekend today because my mom said yes to it because it's a long weekend and my mom and I figured we might as well have some fun. And I just want to do what I want to do. And then the summer is coming up, so I'm going to do some stuff for my birthday and it's going to be fun. Anyway, 3 months, when I look at it from my perspective, is a really long time to not see your mom, and I would be really upset if that was the case. I'm a single mother and we've always been close, which is why she invited me with her friends. I just didn't want to go to a party with a lizard, and if it wasn't for the lizard, she should have called it a party instead of a gender reveal. Okay, that's ridiculous. You're an idiot and an asshole. Anyway, you're the first comment says, "You're the asshole. That's your grand lizard." I mean, true. Like, true. Okay, but seriously, this is the kind of thing I would do, like, unironically and with without the joke part. I would do this, like, actually seriously for like a gender reveal for a lizard. And that's actually a good idea because my next reptile will be a lizard. I already decided a year ago my first reptile is going to be a crested gecko. Or my next reptile, not my first reptile, my first lizard and my next reptile is going to be a crested gecko. That is what I decided. That's what I decided a year ago, and it's still true. I still want that to be the case because they're small and they don't need a big cage and they're also a lot more handleable than my snake. Not that my snake isn't handleable. He is pretty chill with handling, to be quite honest. He is a very relaxed, chill snake. I've been bitten twice, but as a feeding response only. The first time as a feeding response, the second time because he was getting ready to shed, and because he had just shed and he was being a little bit moody. But it was never intentional and whatever. He's a snake. I can't blame him for doing his natural snake stuff and acting on instinct. Like, there's no point in, and you can't train a snake like you would train a dog or whatever. Like, I can't teach him sit. Although, how would that even work? He's always laying on his belly and has no legs. Anyway, my point is, like, anyway, back to my original point. My point was that I actually do want to do a gender reveal for my crested gecko that I will be getting in the future. And I'm really excited about it. And he's going to be really cute. And it could be a while, but once I start saving for my job, it probably won't take that long. Like, it might take, I don't know, like 5 or 6 months. Because with I found an enclosure on Amazon that's around $200, I think, and the gecko itself is probably going to be, I have no idea. I have no idea what the price is going to be. There is a place I decided on when I was looking at breeders to get my gecko, and that is because that his wife is a like animal gecko specialist or something along those lines. I don't remember the actual title, but basically I can ask her like any questions about my gecko, like any issues, any health problems, any questions I have, I can message her and she will let me know like what the answer is. And if I need to go to the vet, she'll let me know that too. Like if she thinks this is a problem and I need to take him to the vet. So like I can basically message them with any questions I have and they can tell me what to do. Like so I think I decided that, and they said that if I get the gecko from them, I would get lifetime protection. So that is what I'm going to do. And I decided I want a lily white, but honestly, I don't really think that I'm gonna see. Well, I'm gonna see what geckos they have available at the time that I'm looking for my gecko. Could that because that could change too, or I might find a morph I like even better that they have currently. I don't know. I'm gonna save the money first, and then I will decide what I'm going to do about the actual gecko. Like I'll decide. I'll figure it out. I'll decide what I'm gonna do about the actual gecko. But like that is something I would do unironically for my quest to gecko in the future. Oh my god. It's already been 24 minutes and it's only the first story. Okay. Anyway, Eddie Lizard, edited to remove the UK reference. Delighted to find out she's reached you all. She's still ours though, you can't have her. UK not needed. Eddie Izzard is funny as hell and love to intro now. Her gender nonconformity drew me to her as a teen. I was expecting a more gender fluid aspect of my life. I was exploring a more gender fluid aspect of my life, and she made me feel a lot less alone. Plus, she could always make me smile. Alright, boop, 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 boop. So wait. Afterwards, I got a text asking if I'd come to her gender reveal party she was having. She explained that it was just a small get together with cake and food for her friends she hasn't seen in a while, with the gender reveal being mostly a joke and a way to make fun of actual gender reveals. But two paragraphs later, I told her she couldn't actually expect me to come to a gender reveal for a lizard. She said that it wasn't a real gender reveal, that was more of a joke, and it was really just a small gathering to catch up with everyone. I told her if that was the case, she should have just called it a gathering, because I'm not coming to a gender reveal unless it's for a real granddaughter. You just told on yourself, OP. She'd already told you it was a joke, and you refused to go out of spite because she won't have kids. My mom just fucking walked in. Okay, so I just took a break to get some food and watch some YouTube videos before I came back, and guess what popped up on my homepage when I opened up the TV in my YouTube app? The there was a new video from one of my favorite Reddit YouTubers, not r slash, a different one, and it was the best of Reddit or updates version of the story that we just read about the lizard, because apparently there's an update. So let's go find. Okay, here we are. Okay, so I'm not gonna bother reading the like original post, like the one that we already read. So let's go. Oh yeah, trigger warning, bigotry towards orientation. Yeah, of course. Okay. It's also on r slash am I the devil, and I know we already read the actual story, but like I thought it would be fun to go over there and just read some comments. Okay, this is literally really stupid, but she's really upset about it. Okay, we've got this. Okay, verdict, asshole. All right, so going through the original post, and then we already went through the original post. And then the verdict is the asshole, obviously. The verdict is the OP's the asshole. Okay, relevant comments, and this is a comment from Deleted. I think this is the issue right here. OP is stingy with love. Why should I love a stupid lizard? Why can't we get interested in the things your kid likes and show her excitement and joy? Just the little things. No, she's never going to have kids, so you could have seen that adorable, quirky kid you raised to be as funny and sweet as she is, and gone to her party and mingled with her probably also quirky, funny, sweet friends and had a lovely time, but no, what a loss, how sad. Yeah, exactly. Like, I just know that if I had a party like that for my lizard, like a gender reveal party, if I did that for my crested gecko in like, let's say a year, when I get my crested gecko, I don't know, it could be less than a year, it could be longer than a year. I mean, first thing that happens is I need money and I need to move out. Those are the two qualifications for me actually having a crested gecko. Space isn't as much an issue because I'm pretty sure whatever space I'm in, one, it's going to be bigger than the space I was in before, and two, the tank is taller and not so like horizontal, vertical. I forget the difference with those two. It's like it's taller than it is wide, is what I'm trying to say. That's the Crested Gecko tank. That's what they need. And actually, you can keep the babies in like a 6 quart bin. And I already have one of those. Like, I bought one and I put my tarantulas in it when I clean out their tanks, like temporarily. But if I got a baby Crested Gecko, I would decorate that thing. I would decorate the container, and then I would put him in there because he can live in the tub if he's a baby or if she's a baby. I don't know which one I'm gonna get. That's kind of the point of the gender reveal. But like basically, um basically what I'm trying to say is if I had a gender reveal like that, like if I had a gender reveal for my lizard, whether or not it was a joke, I know for a fact my mom would be there because as long as it was on a day when she could attend, like she wasn't away for a trip or something, but she would be there because, like, she actually gives a shit about my hobbies and interests. I know, it's a crazy concept. Anyway, and then OOP responds, I will be honest, I don't have any particular feelings for the lizard. I think it looks like a snake, and that freaks me out. My mom, okay, it's, I have my snake because my mom said yes, because she was nice enough to let me have my snake. And like, she's totally cool with my snake. Like, I don't know, okay, whatever. I don't know. And that freaks me out, and it is incapable of feeling emotions, so I don't know why she feels a bond with it. She feels a bond with it because humans can pack bond with literally anything. There is a Facebook group called Humans Will Pack Bond with literally anything, where humans can share the interesting stuff they pack bonded with. Like, I have a bond with my stuffed animals. My mom might not understand it, but she is totally supportive of it. Like, she might not get it, but she's supportive of it. Like, she is supportive. She doesn't need to. It doesn't matter. The fact is, it's important to me, so it's also important to her simply by the fact that it's important to me because, I'm her kid and she actually gives a shit about the things that I give a shit about, like my favorite shows or books or my pet snake, And she said that she didn't even see tarantulas as pets until I got my tarantulas, but now she sees now she sees them as pets because they're my pets. Like, I have pet tarantulas, obviously. And I do plan I have three right now. I plan to get a fourth one. I think I want another curly hair because those are super cheap. And also, I love how fluffy they are. They're so fuzzy. And I love that. I can't, like, touch them or handle them. I tend not to handle my tarantulas. Handling tarantulas is a touchy subject. Some people say, yeah, you can handle your tarantulas. Other people say you just shouldn't because there's always a chance that you could get bitten. It's a very low chance, but it does exist. Anyway, I guess what I'm trying to say is my mom cares about the stuff that I care about, whether she understands it or not. Anyway, she even named it Ellie, a human name, so she can tell people I have to get home to Ellie, so she can act like she's busy with a kid at home, which I believe is an unhealthy way to cope with her social anxiety. She should learn to get comfortable with saying no instead of using a lizard as an excuse to neglect social obligations. She has no obligation to anything. I hate when people say a social obligation. Social obligations. We have no such obligation. I don't have to go anywhere or do anything if I don't want to, and I don't have to explain anything to anybody. I have no such obligations. So does everyone else. Everyone else has no such obligations. I guess the only the only exception would be if you have a job. Yeah, you have to go to your job, you have to do your work and stuff. Like, if you promise to work on Friday, then you should work on Friday. Something like that. But, like, I don't know. Other than that, like, you're not obligated to do anything. People seem to misunderstand that an invitation is not an obligation. Just because you invited me, I have no such obligation to go to the party or whatever else you're hosting. I mean, I guess the same rings true for the mom, but she didn't have an actual reason of social anxiety. She uses the excuse that she just doesn't give a shit that much about her daughter or the lizard. Okay. And then someone else says, Hughes, you're the asshole. At first I was like, okay, I get it. She jokes about it being for the lizard. Then I got to her updates. She claims she's asexual. You've totally invalidated your 23-year-old daughter. Wait, where does it say the kid is 23? Oh, never mind. It says in the title. Who knows very well by now who the hell she is. Your following comment. I think she just hasn't found the right man. She never dated growing up. Hello. She is waving a huge flag here. She is asexual. If she came out as a lesbian, would you say she's just not met the right man? I mean, probably. Kind of seems like that's the thing OP would do. Next, you invalidate your fears of going through the same heartbreak that yourself went through, trying to have other kids from miscarriages to a child who passed after a so short life. Not everyone is as emotionally stunted as you that they could speak of those situations so devoid of feeling. I'm actually tearing up thinking about what you went through and how in your small mind you wish your own surviving child would go through it as well just to pop out a kid. Get over yourself, mom. And yes, it's in quotes because you do not deserve that title any longer. I hope this shows your amazing asexual daughter that your life is 1,000 times better without you in it. Also, for your sake, OP, go get therapy. You need to reconnect with your emotions. Yeah, what is going on here? NOOP replies, because there's no way she's possibly going to make this better. I wouldn't say I've invalidated it. She said she doesn't experience sexual slash romantic attraction, nor has a want for it, which is only because she hasn't found the right person yet. It's impossible for someone to not feel such an actual feeling. Everyone feels it. It is a normal chemical in our body. No. No, no, no. Everyone does not feel it. Asexual. So she's basically saying asexual and aromantic people don't exist. But here I am, asexual and aromantic, existing right in front of you. So if that isn't proof enough, then well, you're an idiot. Reason stems mother, because yes, it was hard on me. There were many tears, and it's partly why her father left. But that's what mothers do. She knows how important it is that I find it. How important to me it is that I finally gave birth to a child that actually lived to grow up, and it does hurt she wouldn't continue for me when I went through that pain. Okay, wow. That's why there's been tension for her decision, and I will admit I am unhappy with her decision, but I've been as supportive as I can and haven't been mean about it. Okay, this is insane. This is like I said, there's no way she's going to make it better, and I was right. There's no way she's going to make it better. So she's not the kind of person who would say something to make it better. Instead, she makes it worse. Um, so first of all, she knows how important it is to you that you finally gave birth to a child. Okay, but you're not acting like she's important to you. You're acting like your child just doesn't matter. You say it's super important that you gave birth to a child that actually got to grow up. Then why aren't you showing that she's important to you? Why are you acting like you actually don't care about her? That is that is conflicting. Your words that you're saying in this post are conflicting with your actions. You are showing through your actions your daughter isn't that important to you, and neither are her interests and hobbies, which makes it seem like she's not that important to you, because it seems like she's just not. Just because you say it doesn't make it true. That's the thing that people don't seem to understand. You need to actually back up your words with actions. Like, you need to actually, I don't know, act like she's important to you, treat her like you care about her, you know, treat her like she's your daughter. I don't know, start being nice to her, be okay with the fact that she's not having kids and find a way to get over yourself. And the person who said you need therapy is absolutely correct. You need therapy. You need therapy to come to terms with the fact that your daughter is asexual and aromantic, if that's how she chooses to label herself. She did label herself as asexual, so I'm sticking with that one. You need to come to terms with the fact that she's asexual. You need to come to terms with the fact that she's not having kids, and you need to find a way to get over that and be okay with yourself. And you need to be able to reconnect with your emotions and also connect with your daughter. So maybe family therapy would be good too, for you and your daughter's sake, so that you can have a better relationship with each other. Because you claim that it's important to you that you gave birth to a kid that grow that grew up, but then you act like your kid isn't that important to you by not caring about their hobbies or what they're interested in, by not caring about their lizard that you say they have an extremely strong emotional bond to. So therefore, you should care about it. Like, if you're not going to care about something that is such an integral part of your child's life, that's going to make it really hard to have a relationship with you, or at least any kind of meaningful and lasting relationship. Okay, yeah, and then you say, "It does hurt. She wouldn't continue for me when I went through that pain." Okay, but if you went through the pain, wouldn't you want your daughter to not go through that also? Like, wouldn't you be more likely to, like, say, "Oh, you're not having kids? Well, okay, I don't want you to go through miscarriages and stuff." Like, why is it okay that why is it why isn't it okay that your daughter doesn't wanna go through that? Why are you it seems like you don't actually care about what happened, like, your miscarriages and stuff. It seems like you don't have a problem with that, and why do you want your daughter to go through that pain just to bring a kid into this world that she doesn't want, that she's told you she doesn't want, she's told you she's not ready for, she's also asexual, you're not listening to her at all, you're not listening to anything she says. She's saying stuff to you, and you're just like, I don't care. I want grandkids, and what I want is more important than what you want. And that's another thing. Why is what you want more important than what she wants when she's going to be the one taking care, like, when she's going to be the one carrying the baby, giving birth, possibly dealing with miscarriages, and then she's going to, be the one also caring for this child throughout its life, which she said she is not mentally and emotionally ready for, which I totally get because I am right there with her. I do hopefully want a kid someday. I hopefully want to foster or adopt, and that would be great. If I'm not able to do that, like, if I'm not able to do that, then I'm not able to do that. But if I am able to do that, that is something I want. But I don't want to carry a child to term. Like, I don't want to have my own kid. I don't want to get pregnant. I don't want to give birth. I don't want to go through all that and possibly dealing with miscarriages. And also, another reason I don't want to do that is because I don't want to pass my autism slash depression onto them. Depression and autism are both, they can both be hereditary. You can pass your issues on your child, whether they're mental or physical. You can pass them on to your child, and I could pass my autism and depression on to my kid if I had a kid. And I think I could. I don't think I could deal with giving my child autism. I mean, I guess it depends, but like, I couldn't be the reason that my child has depression. I don't want to be the reason my kid has depression. I would not wish this curse on my worst enemy. Like, you guys don't understand how bad it is until you've actually dealt with it. I know for a fact some of you actually are dealing with it. I know I'm not going to name names or anything, but I do know there are people out there who are dealing with depression, and some of them watch my videos, and some of them, and I do not want to give this to anyone else, especially not a child. I mean, it might not be passed on. I'm saying, but like, it might not be passed on, but it could be passed on. And also, then there's the miscarriages piece. And it seems like you would be more worried about your daughter, like, continuing, like, you wouldn't care so much about the miscarriage, but you would just want your daughter to continue, going through it until she gave birth to a baby that could grow up like you. Like, you wouldn't care. You would just want her to keep going through that anyway. And then deleted says, "You're the asshole. That's your Grant Lizard." And that's the comment that we read before. Edit to add, it was obviously not just about the gender reveal, and your daughter wanted to see you. Tomboy Barbie says, "Oh, wait. Afterwards, I got a text asking if I'd come to a gender reveal party." Okay, we've read this comment too. She kept labeling it was a gender reveal, and then OOP replies to that comment saying, she kept labeling it was a gender reveal, though. She bought a cake that says it's a girl and popped a pink, sparkly glitter popper, too, which I think is ridiculous. The lizard can't appreciate or love this. It can't even feel emotions. Okay, first of all, shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. Animals, my snake, I don't think can love me, but they definitely feel emotions. My snake feels safe and stuff. Okay, I don't know how to say this. I'm gonna try and say this in the best way that I know how. My snake, after a year together, my snake doesn't slither away from me if I open the lid on the tank, and and a lot of lizards will come to the glass when their owners are around because they recognize their owners, and they'll like scratch at the glass. They'll like want to come out, they'll want attention, they'll whatever. Like, no, they can feel emotions. They might not be able to feel love, and I okay, anyway. And by the way, you say the lizard can't appreciate or love this. Okay, neither can a baby that's in his mama's belly. You think the baby can appreciate or love it? You think the baby gives a shit what gender they are? You think the baby gives a shit if they're having a party for it when it's in your stomach? The baby doesn't give a shit. So why do gender reveals for a baby then? Okay. Okay, but wait. There's more. The daughter's best friend finds the post and replies. So the next day, she says, "You're the asshole, and I'm surprised you had the gall to post this, knowing she frequents Reddit. This is the best friend that texted you. You blocked my number. Not that it matters. You know it wasn't about the reveal. It was an excuse to hold a party. We had fun without you. The lizard had an adorable tiny party hat. Oh my god. I want to come to this party. This sounds so cute." We had a cake that says "It's a girl," and we popped a glittery, sparkly party popper. It got all over the walls and ceiling and our friend John, and we started making jokes like, "Call the EMS for John," and "They do say gender reveals are dangerous. Who knew?" But I'm sure she sent you the video, so you know what you missed out on. We made fun of it for the most part and blasted The Last of Us music since that's where Ellie's name comes from, not because she wanted an excuse for her social anxiety. Yeah. Imagine you just name it after a video game character and your mom's like, she wanted an excuse for her social anxiety. Uh, by the way, as for the social anxiety piece, you should be concerned about your daughter's social anxiety and making sure she takes care of herself. That's the part that should matter here. It should matter that she's taking care of her mental health. She does not owe anyone to stick around if she doesn't want to. That is the part that people don't seem to understand. They don't owe you sticking around if they don't want to. Like, even if you go to a party for an hour that's supposed to go for 5 hours and then you want to leave because you have social anxiety or you just want to get home or you don't care that much, whatever the reason is, you don't owe them sticking around. You don't have to stick around. Anyway, she struggled with her identity for years, and you were never supportive. When she was trying to figure out if she was lesbian, you sat her down for 30 minutes and explained how it's normal to get feelings confused, but people weren't meant to like the same gender, and it was probably just friendship feelings she was confusing. You're part of the reason she never explored her sexuality further. With your sex is natural and you can't have a relationship without sex comments, knowing not only is she mildly autistic and already struggles to understand and comprehend her emotions, but she's also a victim of a negative experience. You know she has a codependency issue, and living by herself has been really difficult for her to overcome, and Ellie has helped immensely. She was upset you didn't come when she wanted to see you because she adores you, and you didn't even call her for Thanksgiving. Also, Lizard Tax 123 because I know how red it is. Oh my goodness, okay. Yeah, we need to. Okay, yeah, part of the reason. And she's mildly autistic, and autistic people have like what are called special interests, where they are like deeply into something. Like one of my special interests is animals, particularly reptiles, and I fucking love reptiles, and I wanted one ever since I was like 7 or 8 years old. I think I was in about the third grade, and the reason I got obsessed is because Reptilia came to my school and they brought like a bunch of really cool reptiles. They had there were snakes, there were lizards, there were tortoises, and it was really freaking cool. And I like became obsessed. I became a person obsessed with reptiles. And finally, more than 20 years later, I have my very own pet snake. And like, I'm just getting started. When I have the money, I do plan to get a crested gecko. And I also want to get more Kenyan sand boas. That's another thing. I want to get more Kenyan sand boas than just the one. Like, I have the one. Um, and I found out about the Animorph, which is basically, it looks like a little cow. It's like white with or light gray with dark gray spots, and I love that. It looks so cute, and I think I want one of those next. I think that's going to be my next one. And the reason I chose him, Yahtzee's the wild type morph right now, and oh my god, I really love that morph. It's so beautiful. It's basically orange with black spots, and he is gorgeous. And when I was picking out the snake from the ones that the breeder sent me pictures of, I just picked the one with the most vibrant colors, and I am so glad I did. And I love him so much. He's been an amazing gift in my life, and it's amazing having him and doing our little handling sessions. And he's not eating right, and he's not eating right now. He's on another feeding strike again. So I don't know. Hopefully, he'll be around um for about 20 years. They're supposed to live about 20 years. Some of them can live longer. The average is about 20 years. So hopefully, I'll have him until I'm like 50. I once hosted a carpet warming party. It's like a housewarming party, but instead of getting a new house, I got two new carpets. It was just a silly joke excuse to have a party. Nobody complained, and we all had a good time. I would definitely attend a gender reveal for a lizard. Also, I feel really sorry for the daughter who literally spells out that it was a joke, and then actually she misses OP and wants to see them more. Only for OP to go, yeah, I get that you miss me and want to see me, but no. And then someone responds, "This is the first gender reveal party I've ever felt support for." I saw another comment complaining that having a gender reveal party for a lizard is stupid because gender reveal parties are stupid. And I'm just thinking, duh. If anything, having a gender reveal party for a lizard really drives home how silly gender reveal parties are. There are times some folks on Reddit are shockingly anti-fun and joy. You see it whenever an adult wants to celebrate their birthday. If my friend invited me to a lizard or skink gender reveal, I'd be there, buy some crickets or some such as a gift, and have a blast. Oh my god. They're even gonna buy crickets for the lizard. I love this person. Also, who's OP's daughter? Because I feel like we get along great. I can't believe I spent almost an hour just discussing this one story. Okay, and then I'm trying to find what it was. Do. Can't have a relationship without sex. You can have a relationship without sex, by the way. Me and my first boyfriend were together for a year without sex. Over a year without sex. So, you saying you can't have a relationship without sex? We had an amazing relationship without sex. Anyway, it doesn't matter. She has a codependency issue and living by herself has to be really difficult. Ugh, mine is the opposite. I am somewhat codependent, I guess, but I need to live by myself. I need to live by myself. And honestly, actually, mm, the thing is, moving in with my sister, even though it was the worst experience of my life, living with my sister taught my mom, like, that I actually can't live without anyone and showed her the reasons why living with a roommate would be devastating for my mental health and possibly my physical health. I don't even know. But like I I'm really glad I finally got her to understand that I can't live with people. And it's really disappointing that my grandpa can't help with rent, but he can't, and obviously we're not going to ask him to because of what he went through and stuff. So anyway, like I think I posted about it. I I am sure I posted about it last summer that he almost died. We literally thought he was gonna die. He pulled through somehow. It was amazing, and I'm really glad he did. And then I got to see him like right after. Uh and I will get to see him this summer, you know, barring anything crazy. Hopefully nothing happens. Uh, I don't wanna I don't want my chances of seeing him to get messed up, but just in case something does. Okay, I got these, okay. I'm looking. I don't know what I'm doing here. Okay, you know what? I don't care. Let's try and look. Think okay, the last thing I want to check about this story is the Am I the Devil post. Boop. Okay, I don't know where. Oh, here we go. She claims she's asexual. Okay, I want to read the comments on r slash Am I the Devil. Okay, first comment. I have been supportive and only shown mild frustration. I froze reading this, LMAO. The second part negates the first. Some real, you should thank me for not being as hateful as I want to be energy. It's okay if you like girls, said my mom when I was a teen. Many years later, she called my lesbian friends not normal, and when I reminded her of our old conversation, she said, "Oh, I meant that I wouldn't kick you out, but I wouldn't be happy." I'm not even entertaining the idea of telling her I'm asexual. You shouldn't be telling her anything. I'm surprised you're even still in contact with her. I mean, if you're I guess if you're under 18, you don't really have a choice, but once you're 18, I would just cut off contact. Uh, Especially after a self-proclaimed open-minded ass claimed, "You can't not like anyone," at one time I said, because she asked that he didn't like anyone at the moment. So I feel like some relevant context, since this story is deeply about gender and sexuality identity, I feel like some relevant context here would be talking about the first chapter of the book that I'm working on. And basically, it all amounts to this girl feeling like there's something wrong with her because she's 18, she's turning 18, and she's never felt any romantic or sexual feelings for a guy before. So, well, sexual feelings, yes. She's never felt any romantic feelings for a guy before, like she's never had a crush, and it all culminates with her having a breakdown on her birthday, and then her twin sister shows her that there's nothing wrong with her, and then she actually might just have some, you know, sexuality stuff that she has to get through, and she points her towards the LGBT center where she goes for meeting where you can go for like meetings and talk about your LGBT stuff or whatever you want to talk about, and it helps her work through those issues. And then later she falls in love with a guy, um, and the guy is asexual, so they try the not having sex thing, and it actually works out really well. And they are together for a couple years, and then I'm not gonna say what happens after that, but she never catches romantic feelings for a guy again. And she thinks she's aromantic at first, but it turns out she's demi-romantic. And but I haven't decided if I'm gonna have her fall in love with another person in the story, but I think it'd be more about what happened to her original boyfriend. But I think I'm going to not. It might just be that one guy. And then anyway. So yeah, that's basically what happens to that character. Um, I just wanted to do that real quick. Okay, I have to refill my water, so I'll be right back. Okay, I want to go through a few more comments on this story, and then we're gonna finally move on to the next one. And I did find the lizard pictures. They will be at the end of the video, so don't worry, because he is really cute, and there's a one picture where he got food all over his face, which is just adorable. I love him so much. I really want a blue tongue skink. And someone says, the edit makes it so much worse. Yeah, for real. I love this girl's sense of humor. I want to be her friend. My best mate inherited a snake, and we just assume he's male, but if he ever gets improperly identified, I'm making him have a gender reveal party. We're both child free and find the concept of gender reveals ridiculous, but any excuse for a party for a loved, tiny faced cutie. Blue tongue skinks are also notoriously sexually monomorphic. Seriously, the difference comes down to head proportions and build as well as size. Females grow slightly larger, males have slightly larger heads and a somewhat stockier build. If there's anything it makes sense to do a gender reveal for, it's a skink. You can't ask them or really tell unless you know exactly what to look for. Yeah, for real. Actually, female Kenyan sandboas do get larger than male Kenyan sandboas. It's kind of why I specifically chose a male because I wanted to be able to have the 20 gallon, which works out perfectly for the table that it's currently on. Which, by the way, funny enough, the table that he's on, that his tank is on, was actually built by my grandpa. So it looks like I'm going to be taking both the table with me it looks like I'm going to be taking the table with me to have my snake tank on it. So I guess I just get to keep it. I guess it's mine now. Unless my mom has something else to put the snake tank on. But as far as it goes, it's really good right now. It's like the table's a little bit bigger than the tank and I can put the tank on there and I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to worry about it falling or smashing or anything. Like it's all good. It's actually perfect. So anyway. Okay, I think it's I wanna come. Snake gender reveal is my kind of gender reveal along with skink gender reveal. I know, right? Okay, let's do this. Okay. This one's a little bit more sad. I found out my sister-in-law. Oh, this is from off my chest. I found out my sister-in-law is the reason my nephew died. My nephew died 6 months ago by hanging himself. Nobody knew anything was wrong. He was always the life of the party. Happy, bouncy, lots of friends. Didn't leave a note. Found out he had ADHD and had just started a month earlier on some drug and saw a psychiatrist. This week we got the coroner's unfiltered report with the psychiatrist notes. The mom doesn't read those things. It's been too hard on her. The dad reads them. He shared it with me. The note said that my nephew said to the psychiatrist that his mom had some kind of affliction. I can't remember what it actually said. Bipolar or ADHD also or something. And he said it was awful. He was emotionally abused and found it hard to live with her. She was making his life hell. So my takeaway from this, he had had enough of the mum and hit and was and his only out was to kill himself. And then I thought, we knew she was a bit of a nut, but how did we not see this? I won't tell my mom she's a gossip. I'll leave it up to my brother to tell anyone else. I won't even tell my partner in case he says something when he's drunk. I am finding it harder to come to terms with this than I thought. It's the what could I have done coming back to me. Okay. The first comment says, please seek out a grief counselor, please. Back in 2017, three teenagers in my hometown and my kids' high school and other local high school killed themselves in a 10-month period. Our community was so broken. The first, she was one of the girls on my band bus, Kim. I always told the girls people are not trash, and her last words to me were I was the only person who believes that. It still breaks me. I wonder how I didn't know. The what ifs. See a grief counselor, someone to help work through the pain, please. Grief is love with nowhere to express it. Same thing for my high school years, though years and years before your experience. It was like a chain reaction of kids throwing themselves in front of trains. Horrifying, and, well, it's not my place to force someone to continue living. Often there is help, and not terrible feeling lasts forever. It's a very final solution to a temporary problem, and it sucks. You didn't know because the decision is usually made just before the attempt. People see the relief and improvement of deciding in the cases where it's planned more. I did both and survived it. Not knowing is not failing someone. Just like OP didn't fail their nephew, you cannot act on information you don't have. I'm sorry for the loss of your nephew. Ugh. I have to point out that this person's name is My Stepchild Sucks Ass. I get the feeling that's a joke. I hope it's a joke. I'm sorry for the loss of your nephew. I would respectfully caution you or anyone to not put the blame on the mum. It may not be so cut and dry. Oftentimes some medications will carry warnings of thoughts of suicide. My friend's brother, a healthy, vibrant, gorgeous, healthy, and wealthy 28-year-old, also took his own life 2 months after starting some kind of psycho-effective medication. Sudden death, especially under these circumstances, leaves people wanting answers, and sometimes there isn't just one answer or one reason that causes the person to make the ultimate decision. We think if we have that one specific answer that it will relieve our pain, and it doesn't quite work like that in my experience. Sending peace and comfort to you, OP. The most important thing we learn and the most difficult to remember is that thoughts are not facts. I've met so many people who've never had a moment of suicidal ideation or a tendency toward it in their lives, but within a couple weeks of trying a new medication, they have thoughts of driving their vehicle with their kids in it off a bridge. Just a couple examples. It's so hard to remember that when taking certain medications, your thoughts are not entirely your own. Yeah, me and my mom actually had a breakdown last night where I was really upset, and my mom I was talking to my mom about how scary it was when I was taking lithium, like, a few years ago. Like, during COVID and back in 2021, I was taking lithium, and it was actually making things a hell of a lot worse for me, and I got off it after a few months, but the medication stayed in my system for a few more months. Like, it didn't leave my system for a few months. I stopped taking it, but I still would have those breakdowns, like, over the next few months, and so that's what happened, and it was really upsetting and hard to deal with. Okay. I want to see this. Okay, this is from r/slash am I the asshole? Am I the asshole for rehoming my cat? And this person has been recognized as the asshole. Hello, everyone. So when I was 9, my parents rescued a 5-year-old cat from our local animal shelter. I agreed to getting the cat since I was 9 at the time, and of course I wasn't going to turn down the opportunity to get a fluffy animal. However, I'd be lying if I said I loved the cat growing up. I don't hate the cat by any means, but I came to realize that I'm definitely more of a dog person. However, we never owned any animals apart from the cat, since my dad has a fear of dogs for some reason. Last year I moved in with my boyfriend and I took the cat with me, since my parents thought that the cat had bonded to me more. I was fine with this since the cat does its own thing. However, problems began to arise when me and my boyfriend got a French Bulldog puppy, since neither of us has been able to get a dog up until now. The Frenchie was very gentle towards our cat and doesn't bother her. The cat, on the other hand, made her disdain for him very apparent. This was done through hissing, loudly shrieking, etc. This went on for a year, with the cat's behavior towards our dog gradually getting worse. I lived 2 hours away from my parents, so taking the cat back to them wasn't really a viable option. After making all the efforts I could to get my cat to get along with my dog, albeit to no avail, I decided to take my cat to the local animal shelter, since cats tend to be easily adopted when compared to dogs. Really? Is that where'd you get that information? My parents recently came to visit. When they were here, they asked me where the cat was, to which I told them they'd taken it back to the local animal shelter. A huge argument ensued, despite the fact that I'd reassured them that the cat had been adopted, since it was no longer on the shelter's website. My parents left shortly after, and we haven't spoken since. My boyfriend has sided with me on this, saying that had we taken our Frenchie to the shelter, there's a good chance it may have been euthanized due to the overabundance of dogs in shelters. Am I the asshole here? Two things. One, it might not be on the shelter's website anymore because it got euthanized, not because it got adopted. And second, sorry, what was I trying to say? Second, when you have an animal and then you get a new animal and the two animals don't get along, I believe that the right to stay should go to whichever animal has seniority. That is what I believe. And you've had this cat since you were 9. I don't know. I'm just gonna assume it's been like 10 years or something. And also, the cat is now a senior, and senior cats have a very, from what the comments, you're the asshole. You didn't want to drive to your parents' house, so you took an elderly cat to the shelter. Elderly animals have a very low chance at adoption and sadly get put to sleep often. 2 hours isn't even that far, and I'm sure they would have met you halfway. I have other things I want to say, but I'll stop there. You're the asshole. You took an elderly cat that you'd had for many years, I'm guessing at least 9, but no idea, to the shelter because it didn't like your puppy that you got. And elderly animals are hard to adopt and are often euthanized. Your puppy had a better chance of being adopted, but you wanted it, so the cat had to go. Poor cat. It was probably sent right to the kill room and was dead before OP even made it home. That's really depressing to think about. But it probably is what happened, unfortunately. The Frenchie would have gotten euthanized? Really? That's your excuse? You're the asshole. I can't believe you couldn't drive the cat back 2 hours or even call your parents and ask them to meet you halfway or something. If you didn't care for the cat, why did you take it in the first place? For real. And a 1-year-old Frenchie would never get put down. One, because of its age, and two, because they are a highly desirable dog breed. Even though they have a ton of health issues, they're cute, but they're expensive and hard to keep healthy. I find it hard to believe a 4-hour round trip was impossible, but OP and the boyfriend had $3,000 to $4,000 for a puppy. Damn, that's how expensive they are. I totally agree. They're super cute, but they shouldn't exist because of the health problems. Also, when myself and my dog moved 16 hours away and she didn't adapt well, I drove her 16 hours back to my parents to live with them. So 2 hours just, ugh. Can't even express the plain rage I feel about this one, lol. Ugh, well, that's very upsetting. I actually do have certain, like, a list of animal breeds. I didn't bother with dog breeds because I'm never getting a dog, but I have a list of like cat breeds, and I even have a list of some snakes that I won't get simply because they were bred specifically to be a certain way that caused a bunch of health issues, like spider morphs of the ball python. I'm not going to be getting any spider morphs because they have really bad health problems, as well as like some cats such as munchkin cats or Persian cats with the flat faces who have that, and then they were specifically bred to look like cute, I guess, and then it turned out with a bunch of health issues. And there are dog breeds too, and the Munchkin cats, which just pisses me off. And that, so I have those blacklisted that I would never get. I mean, maybe if it was at a shelter or something, possibly, but like I would never set out to be like, oh, I want to get a Munchkin cat or a spider ball python or whatever. You're the asshole. The excuse of your parents living 2 hours away doesn't make any sense. Your parents are upset because they didn't get the option to get the cat back before you put it in a shelter. They probably love that cat and thought you did too. And by the way, an elderly cat is not more easily adoptable than a young puppy. You were trying to rationalize. Heck, the parents might have even come to pick it up. Okay, I don't. Yeah. All right. There's like a lot of comments here. Hang on. There's all these comments. Okay, you're the asshole. Let's do some basic math here. You got the cat when you were 9 and the cat was 5. Let's assume you moved in with your boyfriend right at 18, making your cat 14. You tried to make it work with the puppy and the cat for a year. That makes you 19 and your cat 15. Even when your cat was 14, I don't understand how you wouldn't think that the cat was getting old and probably wouldn't live too many more years. You didn't bother to see how the cat would react to a puppy, you just went out and bought one. You hadn't been able to get a dog up until then, so you could have lived without one for a little while longer. Then, when the cat turns 15, you give it to a shelter. The average lifespan of a domestic cat is 12 to 14 years, meaning your cat didn't likely only had another year or two of its life left. Instead of letting it live out its life with someone who had been its owner for the majority of its life, you abandoned it to the shelter. If your parents were asking where the cat was, you obviously didn't talk to them about it. How do you know they wouldn't have taken the cat in? Your parents live 2 hours away, not 20. Are you saying that over the past year you never once saw them? You assume that the cat was adopted because it's not on the shelter's website, but putting a senior cat through the stress of such an environmental change could have easily been detrimental to its health. You assume it got adopted because you don't want to admit to yourself that your cat could have easily been so stressed that it stopped eating and had to be put down. Not only are you the asshole, but you should absolutely be ashamed of yourself and your selfish actions. You're the asshole. You should have told your parents you were planning to get rid of the cat before you did it so they had the option to get her back if they wanted her. Even if neither you or your boyfriend drive a 2 hour journey to keep a long-time family pet in the family and alive is absolutely viable. Assuming an elderly cat will get adopted at a shelter is being willfully naive. You should have tried to rehome her rather than take her to a shelter. You're the asshole. You should have talked to your parents first and given them the chance to take the cat back. Being 2 hours away is not that far. They probably would have drove up to get your cat. Adult cats are hard to get adopted out of a shelter. Everyone wants a kitten. You can pretend your cat was adopted by a family with a nice farm in the country where the cat can run and play if that helps you sleep at night. But unless it was a no-kill shelter, you know what happened to the cat. Edit. Also, you did not rehome the cat. Rehoming the cat is giving it to someone who is looking for a cat. You just dumped this cat at a shelter. How does a 2 hour drive make returning the cat to your parents an unviable option? How did the cat make the move the first time? This cat must be 15 years old or older by now. Most people do not want that old of an animal since the vet bills start going up by that time. There are two reasons the cat would be no longer available for adoption, and you have blinders on for thinking it was the nice reason. You didn't rehome your cat, you dehomed it. You're the asshole for not thinking it was at least worth a 4 hour drive to drop off your cat somewhere it would still be loved. Also, I call BS on the adoptability of a French bulldog puppy versus a 15-year-old cat. You're the asshole. The cat was probably euthanized, you moron, because it was an old fucking cat. If you'd call the shelter, they'd probably tell you that. People generally don't take in senior cats. They want cute little kittens. Senior cats can be cute. You should have at least had the decency to take the 2 hour trip to return it to your parents. You didn't even call your parents to give them the option to come and pick it up. If you had to get rid of one, the Frenchie would have gotten adopted because it's a Frenchie. They're cute. Also, you shouldn't have adopted a new animal without first ensuring your existing cat would get along with it first. Disgusting. Your cat is dead. You're the asshole and dumb to boot. You're the asshole and a huge one at that. You dumped your senior cat, I'm assuming you're an adult or close to, because you're moving in with your boyfriend, which would put your cat at 12 to 14 years old, to a shelter at 12 to 14 plus years old, to a shelter because you liked your new designer puppy more than the cat you had since childhood. You made zero mention that you tried to find it a home or that you even asked your parents to take it back. In all likelihood, the cat didn't disappear from the shelter site because it was adopted, disappeared because it was euthanized. You're garbage, and your dog deserves better. It disappeared because it was euthanized. Killed. It was probably killed. There was no need to sugarcoat this. You're the asshole. Poor kitty. A French dog would never have been put to sleep at a shelter, and I don't know anyone stupid enough to think that. Agreed. Sounds like a feeble attempt by OP to make themselves seem like they gave a shit about the cat and actually had a debate on which animal to abandon. Total BS. And someone else simply says cat killer. Pretty much. You're the asshole. Your parents only live 2 hours away, not half a world away. And the fact you didn't even ask them to take the cat back is heartless for the poor cat. They euthanize cats at shelters too, and since not many people are interested in adopting a 10-plus-year-old senior cat, she's probably gone by now. Why was taking it back to your parents not viable? 2 hours doesn't seem that great a distance. And you're fooling yourself or lying if you think a senior cat, 5 when you were 9, so probably 16 years old or more by now, was going to be more easily adopted than a young French bulldog. It's mixed breed, older dogs that are in abundance, particularly the bigger, more aggressive ones, not purebred popular breeds. So you're the asshole for 1, taking the cat when you didn't want it, you could have told your parents no. 2, for not even considering taking it home to your parents, you didn't even give them a chance to come and get the cat. And 3, for BSing that you did it to save your dog. Be honest and admit you wanted to keep the dog and were prepared to sacrifice the cat to do so. And lastly, 4, for not finding a no-kill shelter for your cat. And by the way, the fact that it's not on the website doesn't mean it was adopted if you took it to a shelter that euthanizes animals. Do you think they're going to keep the pickup with a killed it label? You're the asshole. 2 hours is nothing for a childhood pet. Your parents most likely would have taken her back. I can't imagine how upset they must feel. The cat is most likely euthanized, being 1, elderly, and 2, not even on the shelter list. It's way more likely they got put to sleep instead of adopted. I was all set to come here and write Not the Asshole because you made sure your childhood companion of 10 plus years had a loving home to spend her years in. Rehomed. Then I find out you had the poor thing killed. That cat would have been delighted to go back to your parents and never see its nemesis, the dog, again. Instead, it was casually betrayed and murdered by its own family. You're the asshole doesn't even come close to covering this. You're the fucking monster, OP. You're the fucking monster. I'm going to r/cats are liquid now for some eye bleach. Jesus. Cats are liquid. Oh my god, they're so cute. New study confirms cats are not bound by the laws of matter. 1% kitten, 99% fluff. It's so cute. So small. So liquid. Oh, yes. That is a cat. Oh, I love cats. Oh my god. They're so cute. Kitty melt. This is a highly advanced yoga pose. Don't try it at home. Oh my gosh. How is this even a question? 1, owning a pet is a responsibility. They're living creatures, not accessories. You don't dump long-term pets at a shelter in favor of new ones. 2, you seriously think a senior cat is more likely to get adopted than a 1-year-old designer breed dog? 3, a 2-hour drive is too far to drive to ensure a childhood pet has a home. A lot of people commute that far to work every day. 4, an animal getting adopted is one reason it wouldn't be listed on a shelter's webpage anymore. In that case, in this case, it is by far the least likely one. You're either an idiot or blatantly rationalizing, and either way, you're the asshole. Alright. We need some eye bleach at this point. Uh, okay, hang on. I'm gonna try and find something. Hmm. Hang on a sec. Uh, oh, here we go. Okay, I searched up wholesome and I want to see this. So we need some eye bleach at this point. So I looked over to r/ask Reddit. What is the most wholesome thing you have seen? My mom is a piano teacher and was shopping in a music store. A 10-year-old kid came in wanting to buy his first musical instrument, particularly a ukulele. So the clerk showed him somewhere the entry level was about $65. He ran back outside to his mom waiting in the car, then came back in and asked, "What is the cheapest musical instrument you have?" And the clerk started showing him a $3 kazoo. Oh. Um, Overhearing this made my mom sad, so she went over and asked the kid if he really wanted a ukulele and would promise to practice and learn it. Hooked him up with the instrument, a beginner book, picks, etc. When she left the store, the kid and his mom both waited to give her a hug. Aw. It's heartbreaking when you see a child deal with the harsh realization that some things are beyond their means. I was in a game store around Christmas a fair few years ago when I saw an 8 to 9-year-old kid come in with his mom. The mom wanted to get her kid a DS, but even the pre owned ones were too expensive, so she just said, maybe next year. It broke my damn heart. I was that child once. My family wasn't rich, so my dad always managed to get us the consoles from a generation or two back, so I was enjoying my N64 when my friends were raving about Final Fantasy X. We never sold consoles when we were done with them. Instead, we used to give them to the children's wing at our local hospital. They were always appreciative because any newer generation consoles that were donated would invariably get stolen, so these reliable older consoles were a godsend. I was there at the shop to trade in my 2DS because I had finished playing Pokemon X and was going to use the trade in money to buy Steam credit gift cards, but I had to follow my dad's example. I left the key and caught it to them outside and just said, "Hey," and handed her the bag with my box 2DS and the Pokemon game inside. From the look on her face when she checked the bag, I think she suspected they were stolen goods or she was just shocked. She gave a trembling thank you, and I had to leave before I cried. I really hope that boy had the best Christmas ever. You literally made me cry, man. Thank you for being such a nice human being. I went through this a lot when I was a kid, and the sad thing is I realized that we as a family were poor at around 8 to 9 years of age. I stopped asking my father for anything at that point. I felt strongly that we would not be able to afford anything costly, like a cool backpack, wristwatch, or roller skates. My father would take me on these really long walks, and we would go sit near the ocean and eat corn or bread. He always kept saying that experiences cannot be bought. Now, when I'm 24, I'm living my childhood again. I purchased small toy cars, loved them so much when I was a kid but couldn't afford them, and play with them. You know, those with the pullback action. It gives me so much happiness when this small die-cast red Mustang running on the floor. If you are capable, please give happiness to as many poor kids as you can. It will make their day. What a solid good deed. It makes the kid so happy and surely relieves such a burden from the parent. I can't imagine how disappointed slash inadequate it would feel to have to let down an excited child after attempting to fulfill their wish and stirring up that excitement. When my youngest brother was about 8 or 9, he's 12 now, he came home with a Student of the Month paper in his folder. He heard that the school custodian recently had come back from having back surgery, so after lunch he gathered a few of his buddies and they swept the cafeteria to give the custodian a break. He was so humble about it too, he didn't care that he got noticed. I just remember being so proud and crying a bit because although I knew he was such a good nugget, I just didn't expect him to go out of his way at such a young age and to get his buddies to follow. Makes my heart happy. In my small town, there was an older guy on my way home from work who wears the biggest smile and stands on his porch while waving to all the traffic. I always wave back. The sad thing is, he lives in a super rough area, and kids and teenagers regularly make fun of him and tease him while shouting slurs at him. He just smiles through all this, and one time I honked at him while waving, and the next day he came to my car when I was at a stoplight and gave me flowers. I always honk and wave on my way home from work. A few years ago, I was on my way to catch the bus when a middle aged woman called me from behind a newspaper stand. She pointed to the bus stop one block down where a guy was standing holding something. She said he was her son, who just got out of jail after serving time for dealing drugs, and today was his first day trying to make an honest life. He had baked some traditional pastries himself and was trying to sell it on the bus stop, and she wanted to make sure things went right for him on his first day so he would not feel tempted to go back on selling drugs. Then she put some money on my hand, asked me if I could buy some pastries, and obviously not tell him she was there. At the stop, I saw the guy, probably in his mid-30s, with this little table of pastries. I bought three, we chatted a little bit, and 1 minute later my bus arrived and I left. It always makes me emotional and warm inside to think how pure a mother's love can be. Okay, but how were the pastries? It was pretty good, better than you would expect from a bus stop stand. Yeah, it's a low bar, but man, is that mother so dang sweet. Yeah, sounds like the dude should be selling his sweet mother on the street corner. Jeez, bro. Fuck yeah, food. I mean, yeah. Alright. Hmm. Ooh, what's this? Okay, another one from Ask Reddit. I want to see this. What is the most wholesome thing you secretly found your partner doing for you? I got an ice maker for Christmas. I was monitoring the time it takes before I have to refill the water, and it lasted damn well over a week, and I was like, this is efficient as fuck. Turns out he was filling it up each night before bed to make sure I had ice in the morning. Ah, I particularly like this one. It's not a huge act like taking care of you after surgery or something, but a simple one that made your daily life better. This is a keeper. He wants to share the load. Oh, I'm keeping him. Huh, I do that for my wife, but it's ice cube trays that I refill and dump into a bucket every few days. She likes the Sonic ice, but doesn't want another appliance on the counter, so I went with the trays. Does it run fast? Uh, Okay. I've joked with my wife that our coffee maker is magic because it always has a full water reservoir and fresh beans. She does the same thing and refills them every night. I would have cried happy tears. It's the little things like this that just make you realize this person, my person, gets me. They don't do it for recognition or praise. They do it because it makes your day easier. It makes you happy, and that makes them happy. What's the difference between an ice maker and just filling up ice trays and keeping them in the freezer? Forgive my ignorance, but I've never heard of an ice maker before, and I'm trying to figure out its use case. More ice, you don't have to leave part of your freezer flat to sit the ice trays down, etc. The ice is icier. Nice. He kept disappearing into his shop for a few days, like sometimes as soon as he got home. I finally snuck out there to see what he was doing, and he was building a shelf I showed him online and told him I really liked. I ran back inside so fast so he didn't see me. He surprised me with it a few days later. It's on our wall. Stop! I hope you pretended you thought he bought you the shelf online when he surprised you. LOL. I should have. When we first started dating, I told him I had to cancel a date because I had the flu. He came by and brought me all the stuff you give someone when they're sick. I woke up and found him grooming and watching a video on how to groom my high needs cat. I just knew he cared about the small stuff. Please tell me you are still with him. We're married. Fuck yeah. When did you guys get married? It's been 7 years. Together for 9. I'm so lucky. Aw, that's so cute. Wishing you two a very, very happy married life. Dude, I'm willing to bet my house that he feels lucky too. Make sure you tell him that you feel lucky. He 100% feels the same way, and I know I'm 7 years too late, but congratulations on getting married. Yay, I love happy endings. I hope this kind of love finds me one day. Happy for you guys. Oh man, there's a deleted. This one's deleted. Aw. I want to delete it. When I had cancer, my wife hid the bills and told me insurance was paying most of it. I was so worried about it, but she took that worry away. A few years later, I found this huge binder with all the bills. Your wife have money you don't know about? She's a chemistry teacher. Walter. I paused watching Breaking Bad for the first time to read this, LMAO. I was in hospital or bedridden for 2 years. We'd also just refinanced our house and took money out to redo our 60-year-old kitchen. Instead of a new kitchen, She got a new husband, me surviving cancer. Also went in debt with hospitals for a few years due to America healthcare. Once it got better, she told me how she didn't want me to worry about bills because she wanted me to focus on fighting cancer. It would have been cool if she was a chemist teacher and sold some of that blue stuff. Would love to walk into a storage unit with a bed made out of $100 bills. So glad you made it. You're a lucky person on multiple fronts. I'm very blessed, thank you. She got his husband repaired instead of refurbishing her kitchen, lol. Another deleted comment. Ugh. I once caught my wife Googling how to make your husband feel special, and I swear my heart melted on the spot. The first tip was probably to pretend to look up how to make your husband feel special and have them catch you so that they feel special, haha. LMAO, that was actually step one. Another deleted comment. Oh, okay. I'm a big Stardew Valley player and was really excited for the 1.6 update to drop. I could barely talk about anything else. I had to work the day it came out, and I was having a tough day, so I told my husband that I would probably download the update when I got home and start it up the next night. When I got home, he had downloaded the update and had it set up to play, hung up string lights in the room, and set up a little snack station with my favorite snacks and drinks next to the couch for me. He was also finishing dinner. He watched the baby and let me play for 3+ hours. I almost cried. I didn't realize I could love someone so much for such a small act of love, but it showed me that he knew me more than I realized. When I travel, she'd help me pack the night before. When I got to my destination, unpack and try to put on new socks. I found little love notes. One time I didn't find the note and wore it around all day until I got back to the room and took my shoes off. The ink got so blurry from the sweat, but it still melted my heart. When we were first dating, he woke up cold, thought I was asleep, and tucked a blanket over me. That's when I knew I was in trouble of catching very serious feelings, haha. This is so wholesome. My boyfriend did something similar when he thought I was asleep. He got up to use the bathroom and noticed my legs were out from under the covers, so he tucked the duvet back around me. I've never told him I was awake and aware of it happening, so I just keep it as a little secret for me, this tiny thing that made me feel so loved. Maybe the blankets when they think we are sleeping is in the secret handbook. I read another very similar reply below. If it's in any secret handbook, it's in the handbook of kind people. Not every guy does things because they're trying to gain something. Maybe it's just because of empathy. He said he farted and not to come in the room, but he didn't fart. He was trying to remove a huntsman spider before I saw it. And then this guy just says, ah. What the fuck? Okay, he used to shovel my driveway while I was at work, but never told me. The whole time I just thought I had really nice neighbors. How did you find out? I was in my early 20s and still living with my parents at the time. He and I weren't even dating yet when he was doing this, but one day my dad came home and saw him shoveling. Been together ever since, 15 years. To clarify, he wasn't a stranger or someone I had just met. We had been best friends for years leading up to this. Aha. Puts back shovel. What about all this snow on my driveway? Now how am I supposed to have a romantic story for Reddit? Ever since me and my kitty moved in with my boyfriend, he has had worsening asthma attacks. He has always said it's gotten worse because of where he works, his seasonal allergies, dry climate, and so on. His best friend recently made a comment about his severe cat allergy. He still denies that my cat has anything to do with his inability to breathe in the house without his inhalers and nasal sprays as a crutch, and cuddles her all the time as proof, followed by an immediate asthma attack. This man has tried to spare me of all guilt. I love him so much and will do everything in my power to ease his pain and keep my kitty. My boyfriend also has a cat allergy, and I found that Purina makes a food that reduces the allergens cats produce. I haven't tried it yet, but the next time I get cat food, I plan to see that if it helps. Get that man on Curex or another similar regimen. They're basically exposure therapy for allergies, which can ease or even eliminate allergies to things like pets, even severe ones. My girl is also crazy allergic to pet dander, to the point of getting sneezy the moment she stepped into a pet filled household. After about 6 months, she can go hours before she needs to take some allergy meds. The progress is stark. Might even be able to get pets of our own soon. Don't let that man suffer. Get any oral antihistamine that works sub sublingually. I okay. She wrote "I love today" because notes every day for you and gave them to me on one of our first Valentines. There were so many wonderful quotidian memories I'd forgotten about. It was so much dedication and so thoughtful. I'm tearing up even now. All right. Okay. All right. I'm gonna go back to my save post now. Hmm. All right. Doot, doot. Uh, all right. Another "Am I the asshole" post. Am I the asshole for calling her picky as shit? And this person has been deemed the asshole. I've been with Jasmine, 23 female, for about a year now. She's great in almost every way, but she's got one flaw, and that's that she's super picky. She always cuts the crust off her bread when she makes sandwiches or toast. She used to have these cutters that would make them into shapes like flowers, but she no longer has them. I confronted her today because she was making a sandwich and cut the crusts off yet again. I got mad and called her picky as shit because she can't handle bread crusts. She got mad and said it doesn't affect me, and I said it does because it makes her seem like a child, which grosses me out. She basically just said sucks for you and said that it's her food and the crusts don't go to waste anyway since she dries them to use as breadcrumbs for fried food and salads. She ended up calling me annoying and is sleeping on the couch and now she won't talk to me. Was I the asshole? You're the asshole, LMAO. Does cutting the crust off your sandwiches make you picky? People like and dislike different things. I don't blame her for not talking to you. I'm surprised she's even dating you from the way you act when someone, checks notes, cuts the crust off their bread. It literally does not impact you in any way. And if you feel it does, then you have other things to worry about. It wasn't even that she asked him to do it. She made her own food the way she likes it. The horror. You're the asshole. And doesn't waste the food. Ironically, I think this is a dumb thing for OP to be picky about. Totally agree, he is a bad boyfriend and overreacting for sure. And he got mad about it, his words, mad. Take a chill pill, OP. Controlling AF. Extremely and obviously, you're the asshole. It literally doesn't have anything to do with you. Some people don't like the crust. Some people don't like the heel ends of a loaf. Some people don't like the peels on apples or kiwis or peaches. People have taste and texture preferences, and she's allowed to have them too. The only one acting like a child in this situation is you. Also, just for cutting out the crust of the bread, a single quote, she is being called picky. She should give all the crust to him since he seems to be picky about it. He can't be all that picky if she's dating OP. All right. I think I am going to read a couple more comments. And when I saw your title, I was thinking maybe she had thrown a fit in public and was ready to side with you. But seriously, she was making herself a sandwich and you got pissed about her cutting off the crust. Not only that, but she uses the breadcrumbs for other things instead of just tossing them. You're the asshole. How does this affect you? I came in here expecting a laundry list of finicky habits, and the little only thing you're bitching about is she cuts off her crusts. Like, there isn't a whole freezer case at your local grocery emporium devoted to crustless sandwiches purely because it's so fucking common. You're the asshole, obviously. I doubt you'll need to accept you don't like her and dump her, given that she now knows what a chuckle fuck you are. Chuckle fuck. I'm gonna steal chuckle fuck if you don't mind. I only consider a new phone broken in when it learns to autocomplete Chucklefuck. Consider my phone now in training for Chuck. OMG, it's a go for Chucklefuck already. Cool. Now I have to train it for Twat Waffle. Alright. I confronted her today because she was making a sandwich and cut off the crusts yet again. I got mad. Come on, dude, you're the asshole and also single, it sounds like. This should be an r slash am I the X. Actually, let's go there. I want to see what they've got going on there. Am I the Alright. R slash am I the X? What woman wouldn't want to be the butt of a demeaning joke told by her new husband at their wedding reception? Am I the asshole for making a joke about my wife in my speech at our wedding? Hi everyone, I'm writing this on here. Oh, the flare is not dumped, but should be. I'm writing this on here because my new wife has been upset since our wedding, which took place last week. She's even threatened divorce on me. It's been pretty bad. Many people in my personal life don't think that I was in the wrong, while others are taking my wife's side. So I need some unbiased perspective. This is a throwaway for obvious reasons. So over the years that we've been together, my wife, then girlfriend, and I have been pretty active with our intimacy, so much so that our friends and even my parents have talked slash joked about it. This is well known in our inner circles, and we have many jokes around this topic, many of which my wife herself thought were funny and joked about with our friends as well. Alright, my mom's about to come home. I will be right back with the rest of once again. And I am going to have my phone with me, obviously, because I'm reading Reddit, and my mom might text me questions about my groceries. And if she does, I'm gonna have to answer her to make sure I get the stuff that I need, um, because Monday's a holiday, I don't have supports that day, so I asked my mom to help out with the shopping. So I gave her my list, and she said she was going to the store anyway, so she just said, like, give me a list and I'll pick up stuff for you. So that's what's happening. One of the nicknames my wife received around this topic was that she was a cum dumpster. We all thought it was hilarious and fitting for her given the circumstances. Well, during the wedding reception, many people were giving speeches, and towards the end, I wanted to say a few words. I thanked everyone for being there. Everything was beautiful, yada yada. And then I wanted to talk about my new life with my wife, and I decided to throw in a joke towards the end. I said something like, I am so honored and excited to be spending the rest of my life with my beautiful cum dumpster. I love you, honey. The entire room roared with laughter. All the groomsmen were laughing, and a few of the bridesmaids were as well. My wife, however, did not look happy and pretty much avoided me for the rest of the reception. When we got back, my wife yelled at me about how I completely embarrassed her at the wedding with my joke. I told her that it really wasn't a big deal since many of the guests were well aware of the joke and won't think anything of it. That's not the point. The next morning, I got a call from my mother in law screaming at me about how I humiliated her daughter. I tried reasoning with her, but it was no use. I have been texting the other groomsmen and the bridesmaids as well, and they think that my wife was just overreacting. A few guests that I'm close with feel the same way. However, one of the other bridesmaids called me as well. and called me a dick and an asshole. I feel conflicted because I was just trying to joke around in my speech. So am I the asshole for making a joke during my wedding speech? If I was that woman, I'd be getting that marriage annulled literally same day. What the hell? That's really messed up. And I hate when people say, "Oh, you're just overreacting." It is so invalidating to someone's feelings to think that way. No, you are not the one who got and they don't have anything to say because they're not the ones who got humiliated. They're not the ones who got called names or whatever they got. They're not the ones who got that. That didn't happen. If it didn't happen to you, then you have nothing to say about it. You should have nothing to say about it. I got to the nickname and thought, oh no, he did. He really, really did. What a dumbass. I know, I audibly gasped when I read that. What an idiot. I hope he shows this post all his future dates because it's so funny how she's totally overreacting. Every time a man accuses a woman of overreacting, my blood pressure raises 2 points. That's because you're overreacting to these comments slash S. Yeah, he removed his comments in the original post with in the original post on r slash am I the asshole because not one person was okay with it, lol. Not one. The incels all off having a group cry offline. Okay, let's go to the original. Okay, here we are. Okay, we're now at the r slash am I the devil because that is what it gave the link to in the story. And in the Am I the Devil post, there's the link to the original story that was on r slash am I the asshole. So we're gonna read the comments from r slash am I the devil. Then I'm going to go to r slash am I the asshole and we're gonna read the comments there. So he called his wife a cum dumpster in his speech and many people in his personal life don't think he was in the wrong. Sure, Jan. Not only that, but they roared with laughter. Sure, they did. I got stuck on she laughed at the jokes about it before. Sure, she did. She totally did when joking around with friends and his parents. I hope he has a good relationship with his hand. Honestly, why in the ever living fuck does he talk to his parents about their sex life? Yeah, I'd be pretty upset if I found out my boyfriend was doing that. If my son called his significant other a cum dumpster, I'd disown him. Likewise, he's 26 and he'd know that I'd hit him with my cane if he was so rude and vulgar to his SO at that setting. If they have that as a private joke, it wouldn't be my business, but at a wedding reception, crass and inappropriate. And so you should. I would disown my friends too. I mean, that's not even what a cum dumpster is. It's someone who sleeps with a lot of different people. It doesn't make sense as a joke about your significant other unless you're insulting her. That's what I thought too. Like, how is that a term of endearment? You might as well call her a slut, but she's in a monogamous relationship. Makes no sense. Mm. Alright. Hmm. New comment thread. Right? The man's delusional. Another poster said it spot on. Every douchebag who's ever made a really horrible joke will find one person smiling awkwardly and extrapolate that to mean everyone was laughing. This needs to be added as a new internet rule. Okay, there's this, and then what's this? Yeah, okay. There is no way in hell this is real. A groom calling his bride. Okay, I just went to the comment that it linked me to. There is no way in hell this is real. A groom calling his bride the incel's favorite insult. Be a little more believable in your story next time. Edit sad spelling. Seriously, in what world does an entire wedding audience roar with laughter at the bride being called a cum dumpster? Every douchebag who's ever made a really horrible joke will find one person smiling awkwardly and extrapolate that to mean everyone was laughing. OMG, that's too accurate. Such people are truly delusional. I refuse to believe this. All the bridesmaids thought it was funny. I went to a wedding once where the father of the bride said, "This is a day most of us thought would never come," and he got booed. Fully booed. Just on what terrible planet? The fact that he claims all these people are in full agreement with him about something he did that is obviously aggressively wrong in any circle of people with brains makes me wonder if the story is even true. Okay. Now we're gonna go to the original post. This is the original of everything, finally. Am I the asshole? It's on r/am I the asshole. You're the asshole. Forget even Reddit's judgment. Your wife thinks you're the asshole. Why would some internet stranger's opinion matter? Have you even apologized? That's the thing. I really hope this isn't real. You're the asshole. Why on earth did you think that was acceptable at a wedding? You're the asshole. Context is important. Any nickname comes with context and right and wrong times to use it. Your wife might not care about the nickname when out with friends, but the groom's speech at a fucking wedding is definitely a different environment, which should come with different standards. Well, you were happily married for a few minutes before fucking it up. Enjoy divorce life. You're the asshole. My god, a cum dumpster on a wedding day? In front of everyone. The disrespect is insane here. You're the asshole, despite what your bros think. Your wife deserves so much better. I do hope she files for annulment. That's what I would do. You're the asshole, but I refuse to believe this is real. No one can be that insensitive on their wedding day. You are the biggest idiot in the history of matrimony. For the groom's wedding speech, he can make fun of himself, but he must uphold and praise the bride. You have no sense of the appropriate. If that's your sense of humor, your marriage likely would be measured in months anyway. If your wife immediately seeks an annulment, I would be completely unsurprised. You're the asshole. You're the asshole. A normal joke does not always translate to a wedding friendly joke. That is the first thing I have to say. Second of all, does your wife even like being called that? You reduced her to nothing more than something for you to come in at the wedding. Heck yeah, I would be going through with the divorce if I were your wife. You didn't even refer to her as a person, but as a thing. You're the asshole. You didn't include ages in your post, but I'm assuming you're a young couple fresh out of college with lots of learning to do. As others have said, time and place are critical with jokes like this. The inappropriate joke was bad enough, but the fact that you truly can't even understand why it's inappropriate or upsetting would be scary to me if I was your wife. She's considering divorce days into your marriage due to your fuck up, and instead of spending time finding ways to make it up to her, you're on Reddit asking the opinion of strangers. Spoiler alert, even if we all say not the asshole, that won't make it right in your wife's eyes. If her opinion matters to you and you want to stay married, then forget about us or your friends and start apologizing. You're the asshole. What the fuck? Why do people think it's okay to do sexual jokes during their speech? But sexual jokes degrading women are quite popular, so people don't even see the issue. People who don't know where the name comes from. I would have walked out. That's so humiliating. Ugh. Time and place, man. Time and place. And you're putting too much emphasis on what other people think. That doesn't really matter. The point is that your wife is upset, and rightfully so. You're the asshole. Yes, exactly. You're the asshole. Also, to add, why are we pulling all our friends and family about our wife's private shame? She's already embarrassed enough, and now if he's grabbing a bullhorn, like, yeah, she's such a drama queen. She's embarrassed I said that about her, and now she's mad. Can you believe how silly she is? Wasn't it humiliating enough to do that once? Rather than to remind everyone she knows and loves about it, embarrassing her further. Extra, you're the asshole for OP. You can't actually expect anyone to believe that you think cum dumpster is a sweet term of endearment or appropriate to include in a wedding speech. You're the asshole. You're the asshole. It's a gross and degrading nickname anyway, but whatever. However, you trotted out in front of her family and friends in your speech on your wedding day to this woman. Way to go to show a complete lack of respect and highlight your own misogyny, internalized or not. Is there a category above asshole? Because there should be. Wow. So you had the whole room laugh at your wife, not with her, at her. You humiliated her, and now you are doubling down and calling your buddies for reassurance instead of listening to the one person that matters. What the fuck does it matter what your bros think? You're the asshole. You're the asshole. I was reading this in the surprised Pikachu face the entire time. I can't believe she didn't immediately divorce you. How absolutely humiliating and degrading that had to be for her. This is one of the rare offensives that I would personally struggle to ever get over, and it would literally drive a wedge between us forever. This is a joke that even apologizing for won't fix. Not that you would even attempt to apologize since you're posting here. Still convince people that you've done nothing wrong. Still convince yourself that you've done nothing wrong. All the people that roared with laughter are assholes because they contributed to the sexist misogyny and humiliation. Imagine if your doctor walked up mid ceremony and told you to drop your pants and bend over for a rectal exam. It's appropriate for when you're at his clinic, but it's not appropriate at a wedding in public. There is a time and place for everything, and that was neither time nor the place for those comments. I don't even think this is a real story. But anyway, what? This is crazy. You're the asshole. It's a wedding day, not some drinks in a mate's place. Time and a place for those kinds of jokes. I hope this is fictional. You know you're the asshole. Your wife told you so. Why do you like telling strangers, wedding guests, and Reddit that your wife's a cum dumpster? It was an inside joke you blasted to more than the immediate circle, potential coworkers, frenemies, and her family. I'm dying from the secondhand embarrassment. Uh, and then there's a comment that I can't read because what the fuck is going on there? I am so honored and excited to be spending the rest of my life with my beautiful cum dumpster. I love you, honey. I got this far and don't need to read anything else you've written here. You're the asshole if you think this was in any way appropriate for your wedding. How can you even need to ask if you're the asshole? No woman wants to be publicly called a cum dumpster by her husband at a wedding in front of their entire family and friends. It might be affectionate said in a small group of friends, but not something to be said in front of her parents, in front of aunts and uncles, in front of all of your family who are about to become her in laws, in front of friends who don't know the backstory to that nickname. It makes it sound like she's just an object to you, something to come into. It's misogynistic and embarrassing. It's understandable that she would feel devastated that you objectified her like that in front of everybody and made her feel like trash. You have some serious apologizing and groveling to do if you want to be able to move on from this. And someone says, congrats to your wife on the divorce, though. Hilarious. Uh, let's go to r slash am I the devil. What's over here? That poor daughter. Am I the asshole for telling my ex-wife she doesn't get to decide who's in my home just because she doesn't like my husband's sister? Oh boy. I, a 36 male, am currently married to my husband, Eric, 35 male. Before that, I was married to my ex wife, Natalie, 36 female, and we share a 14-year-old daughter, Sophie. Natalie and I split up almost a decade ago. We were young, incompatible, and I was coming to terms with my sexuality. It wasn't messy, but it wasn't easy either. These days, we co-parent fully well, though she can be a little we co-parent fairly well, though she can be a little particular. Here's the issue. Eric's sister Jenna, a 33-year-old female, has had a rough few years. I won't sugarcoat it. She was not a good person in the past. She was manipulative, selfish, always borrowing money and lying about why. She burned a lot of bridges, including with Eric, and we kept our distance for a long time. Last year, she hit rock bottom, lost her job, was living in her car, and finally asked for help. Real help, not just money. Eric was hesitant, but ultimately we agreed to let her stay in our guest room temporarily while she got back on her feet. We set very firm boundaries. No borrowing money, no drama. She contributes however she can. To her credit, she stuck to it. She got a part time job, is looking into a training program, and honestly, she's been really respectful. I don't totally trust her yet, but I'm cautiously optimistic. Sophie comes over every other week, and Natalie recently found out Jenna was living with us. She flipped out. She said Jenna was unsafe. She didn't want Sophie around people like that, and that I was being irresponsible by putting Sophie near a manipulative addict. For what it's worth, Jenna's never had a substance issue. Her problems were more about lying and using people emotionally slash financially. I told Natalie I understand her concern, but Sophie has her own room. Jenna mostly keeps to herself, and there's never been any incident or inappropriate behavior. I would never let someone dangerous near her daughter, full stop. Natalie wasn't having it. She said if I didn't make Jenna move out before Sophie's next visit, she wouldn't even send her over. That set me off a bit. I told her she doesn't get to dictate who lives in my house, especially when Jenna hasn't done anything wrong and is actively trying to be better. I said if she had a real reason to think Sophie was unsafe, I would listen, but she just doesn't like Jenna and is using Sophie as leverage. Now she's saying I'm prioritizing some woman who ruined her own life over her daughter, and some friends are saying I should just keep the peace and ask Jenna to leave, but that feels wrong to me, like punishing someone for trying to grow. So, am I the asshole for refusing to kick out my husband's sister just because my ex doesn't trust her? I just read this post maybe an hour ago. The OOP responses really suck. People are asking how his daughter feels about this, and he is basically saying she seems fine, which means he has not talked to his daughter about the situation once. Also, he says she stays away, which to me indicates she either does not like her or is indifferent. I agree. I think he is ignoring a lot so he doesn't have to deal with it or face the fact that his choices can't just be whatever he feels like anymore. My now teen has shared custody, and they apparently spent all their time in their room unless the rest of the house was empty and was alone almost constantly, and I was the only one who saw the problem. That's not how they are here, so it's a big contrast. Now they won't go there at all anymore because they figured out they were isolating, because they don't feel safe or wanted. If the daughter is staying in their room all the time at that age, and especially if they weren't it before, he's ignoring a pretty big red flag in order to engage in a power play over his ex. We don't have all the details, but the court will find them. I read that as the sister is staying in her room and out of the way a lot, which is why he does not feel her presence impacts his daughter, as the sister is never really there or present. Am I missing something? When I read that, I totally get Opie's point. If it is how you read it, then total asshole. I was reading the comments. He seems to have little interaction with this teenager. Doesn't know how she feels, but I could always be wrong. He's pretty cagey and very specific on what wording he chooses to specifically get people to miss things too. So everyone is going to have something different stand out about them. Great, let's go back to the original post, which is on Am I the asshole? Will I be the asshole public? You need to have an honest chat with your daughter about how she feels. If your daughter feels unsafe, you're the asshole. If your daughter is fine with it, not the asshole. She rarely ever interacts with Jenna. From a deleted account, and then from a deleted account, which I'm assuming is OP's account. She rarely ever interacts with Jenna, but the few she has had is polite and respectful. Still have that conversation with your daughter directly. Don't assume. Definitely. What OP sees and what his daughter is telling her mother are two different things. But good on you for helping the sister-in-law. Okay. Thanks for the advice. The conversation should be just the two of you, and make it 10,000% clear that you will take any concern she has seriously, and you will put her safety and comfort for anything else, above everything else. Definitely just the two of them, no husband or sister-in-law in sight. Maybe even have the conversation outside the house in a neutral location to be very sure their daughter is comfortable. Agreed, but also without the ex, to ensure she is not influencing the daughter either. For sure. Might be too late to avoid the ex's influence, to be honest. It's so easy to brainwash kids. I can see it now. I'm sure you know we would keep you safe at all times, and it would break my husband's heart if we had to kick his sister out to live on the streets, because you and your mother can't be good people to give someone a second chance. But if you really fear that she could cause you irrevocable damage, we can try to find someone who doesn't have a selfish daughter at home to take her in. There's a reason he doesn't check in. There's a reason his daughter isn't interacting with anyone in the house. And there's a reason why now, after a year, his ex is advocating for her daughter. OP is putting Dick ahead of his child. He said in multiple responses that his daughter doesn't as well. Update your ex with having it discussed and settled after the talk. If your ex keeps at it when your daughter is fine with it, you could point out that you never receive a logbook with everyone that is ever over at ex's place either. Your daughter is 16, not 6, and your sister in law is financially rebuilding her life, not some big buff ex con on the sex offender list selling hard drugs. Not the asshole. And then someone replies, 14. Right. Still not 6, though. And you're not the asshole for wanting to help your sister in law. Alright, this is very complicated. This is a complicated one, I feel like, but I'm gonna go with neutral until we have more information, which I don't think we're gonna get because the account's been deleted and there's like nothing. I kind of want to go to best of Reddit updates just to see what's there. I want to do I'm gonna read a post. I think this is gonna be the last post of the video because I have no idea when mom's gonna be home, and I want to make sure that we can read all this before she gets home. Well, let's just go to best of Redditor updates. Hang on. I'm gonna try and do. Okay. Oop. Okay. I would like. Let's see. Alright. This is a decently long post. Okay. Alright, I'm feeling hungry, so I'm just gonna save this post for right now. I will come back to it later. Um, and I'm gonna have the time, which hopefully I will. I will finish recording this after I eat. And hopefully I'll be able to finish the post today. Alright, so I'm gonna read this story now, and this is gonna be the last post for this video. Newest update. My 23 female sister, 30 female, is upset that I babysit my friends who are 23 male and 22 female baby over her nightmare kid. How can I get my family to understand that her kid is actually a nightmare? I am still not the original poster. That is this person. She posted r/relationship advice and r/ am I the asshole? Okay, previous best of writer update. There's a freaking train going by, and it's really freaking loud because I have the window open because I have to have it open because it's 16 degrees outside. I can't turn on the AC. I'm gonna break it. That's what my mom said. I don't know how accurate that is. Uh, anyway, Do not comment on original post. The latest update is over a week old. Trigger warnings: undiagnosed mental health issues, child abandonment, child abuse, ableism, addiction. Okay, oh boy. Okay, original post July 23rd, 2024, so almost a year ago. Wow. Throw away so my family doesn't connect this to my main. I'm a 23-year-old child-free woman. I don't know if this is needed for the story. And my sister is 30 with a 4-year-old son. She's a single mom. Ex-husband is not in the picture and has no contact with her or the kid. I'm gonna get straight to the point. That kid is a nightmare to be around. It's not his fault. It's my sister's fault. He very clearly has behavioral and mental health disorders, even at his young age. However, my sister was and is very ableist and refuses to accept that her son has problems. The kid screams bloody murder whenever something doesn't slightly go his way, screams and cries when he's overwhelmed, has meltdowns to certain sounds and textures. Okay, well, right out the gate, that sounds like autism. Autism. Uh, anyway, like I said, I don't blame the kid for these issues, but my sister refusing to get him treatment or help makes the kid a nightmare to be around. So as a result, I don't babysit the kid when my sister asks, but more like demands, I do so. This causes a lot of fights between us and our family. I have a friend who's a 23 male who's married to a wonderful lady aged 22, and they have a baby boy together who just turned 1. Yes, they got married and had him young, but it's not my place to judge them. I mean, they're adults. They knew what they were doing. They were obviously taking good care of the kid. So that's what matters. This past weekend, they asked me to babysit for them, and I agreed for a few reasons. Their kid is calm, well behaved, and a general good kid, toddler, baby for to be around. I love babysitting him. Also, they asked me nicely and understood that I might say no because I'm child free. They were polite about their request. The thing about me is that if you ask me to do something politely, even if it's something I wouldn't usually agree to, I'd probably do it because you were nice and polite. So for these reasons, I happily agreed to babysit the boy. My sister also asked me to babysit her son that day so she could have a day to herself, and I refused and told her I was already babysitting for my friends. She was pissed to say the least. She said a few comments about how I was an asshole and not a good sister, but I thought she dropped it after that. This past weekend, while I was watching the baby, my sister started banging on my door. I looked through the window and saw that she had her kid and a care bag with her, and I knew she was trying to drop him off and make me babysit. She was banging on the door, yelling at me and calling me heartless and a baby hater while I was holding a baby, which is ironic, and then I better open up and do my sisterly duties. That is too. It's not, no, you're not entitled to free babysitting from family members. It pisses me off that people think that. I put the baby in a different room to keep him from getting scared of the noise and told my sister through the window to leave or I would call the cops. She started cursing for a solid 5 minutes before she finally left. I had the whole thing on my doorbell camera and sent it to the family group chat. Surprisingly, my whole family is on my sister's side. Isn't it usually how that goes in these cases? For some reason, the family cares about the harasser more than the person getting harassed. She keeps arguing with me about how I'd rather babysit a kid not even related to me over my nephew. Okay, whatever. She keeps I reminded her that her kid is a nightmare to be around, but she keeps saying that for family you help out. My sister has been cold since and keeps sending me text messages to provoke me into arguing with her more. She's also started saying some pretty ableist and nasty things towards my friend's wife. My friend's wife is on the spectrum and has bipolar disorder, and my sister keeps saying that she should have been sterilized and never should have passed her issues to a kid. By the way, her kid has shown none of the signs that autistic infants usually show, so I don't know what my sister is on. Yeah, if you have autism, you may pass your autism onto your kid, but you also may not. Like, there's a chance it's a chance I wouldn't want to take, but like, if I, you may, it doesn't always mean the kid's gonna have autism. I will admit that I do feel a bit guilty because I never considered babysitting my nephew, but I jumped at the opportunity to babysit my friend's kid. My sister, dad, 66, mom, 64, and brother, 33, are all calling me an asshole and saying that I'm just using the child-free label to avoid family responsibility. Well, why don't they take care of the kid then? If they're so hung up on family taking care of family, they can take care of the kid. Tell them to do it. I need advice on how to get my family to see my perspective on this. How can I explain to them that the issue isn't the idea of babysitting, but it's the behavior of the kid? Listen, I'm child free, at least for right now. But if my sister had a kid or something and then, like, she died and asked me to take in the kid, I mean, I would take in the kid. like, because I would it's my niece or nephew or whatever, like, mm, whatever. Anyway, relevant comments. There were lots, but I tried to include a sampling. Commenter, just ignore your sister and maybe even block her. She isn't entitled to you as a babysitter. As for your family, black kettle them. So when are you babysitting sister's kiddo since family should care for family? Exactly. OOP, my brother, 33, which I should have mentioned, has a wife and kids, so he can't babysit. And my parents are in their early to mid 60s, also probably should have mentioned, and claim to be too old to do so. I guess they edited the post after to add those ages. I'm the youngest and was a whoops baby my parents had in their 40s by chance. Because of my young age and the fact I'm not married and don't have kids, they keep saying I'm the perfect person to babysit because I have nothing to do, not even taking into consideration that I have a job and friends of my own. And also the fact that you're not obligated to care for this kid. Like, it is not automatically your responsibility simply because you don't have kids and you don't, even if you didn't have anything going on and you had, like, if you won the lottery, you had enough money to retire or take time off work, like take a hiatus from work or something, even if you just sat around reading books and watching TV all day, which is what I do, by the way, reading books and watching TV all day or something, it still doesn't mean you are entitled to care for this kid. That it's your responsibility to care for the kid. It's automatically your responsibility to care for the kid because you have nothing going on. Because no, maybe you want to keep your quiet life. Maybe you don't want a kid around messing things up. Like, I am not ready for the responsibility of a kid in any way. Maybe when I'm in my 40s, in like 10 years, I will consider adopting a kid if I am in a financial and emotional situation and I feel ready to even explore that as an option. But it's going to take a while and I have to be ready even if I end up getting a kid, I have to be ready for a kid. Anyway, not even taking into consideration that I have a job and friends of my own. And then someone else says, why can't your brother take care of him if he already has experience with his own kids? OOP, in the words of my family, he already has his own family responsibility. You have none. Yes, that's pretty much always the response to when I ask why can't my brother babysit the kid. That honestly actually makes it seem like he is a better option to babysit the kid because he has experience with kids and when you have like a couple kids of your own, taking care of another kid doesn't really make much of a difference. I mean, unless the kid's a little asshole like this kid is, that's mean. I shouldn't call him an asshole. Unless the kid's like a nightmare to look after like this kid is. They just don't want to babysit the kid because of how he acts. Let's be real. They just don't want to babysit the kid because the mom didn't step up and do any actual parenting and now the kid is terrible to deal with and no one wants to deal with that. And they're just using you as an excuse to be like, nope, we're just going to push the responsibility onto someone else. Uh, my brother also knows deep down the kid is a nightmare, even as much as he tries to ignore it, along with my sister and parents. And then to a different commenter, OP says, his kids don't like spending time with her kid because he's had violent meltdowns and hurt them before. The kids avoid that boy like the plague. I don't blame any of the kids in that situation. My sister's son clearly has behavioral and or mental issues that cause him to react violently to overstimulation, which is not his fault. He needs his help, so he needs help so he can develop ways of controlling his meltdowns. I don't know if that's the right phrase, and keep his emotions in check. My brother's kids, while mature for their age, are kids and don't fully understand why he acts the way he does, and therefore harbor resentment and dislike towards him. I feel bad for all the kids involved. Nobody is winning. Okay, that this is very concerning the way that she parents her kid, or rather doesn't parent her kid, because it makes me think that if she doesn't step up and do something, this is the kind of kid that's gonna end up in jail someday, like, because of the way he reacts violently. And the police aren't gonna be like, oh, well, he has undiagnosed mental health issues, that's cool, we'll just check him into a facility. I mean, hopefully that'll be their reaction, but you can't guarantee that that'll be their reaction. And we all know the horror stories that we've heard about cops and stuff like that. Not saying all cops are bad automatically. I'm just saying sometimes it's a problem. There is this show that I love called Atypical, and in one of the episodes, one of the police mistakes his autistic, like, he's having an autistic moment, I guess. I know that's not the right way, but I don't really know the way to say it properly. He's having an autism thing, and but like the police mistake it for like being on drugs. So they take him in and they don't even listen to what he's saying, and they don't even listen. And his friend is there trying to tell the police what's actually going on, and they're not listening to his friend either. And it's very frustrating to watch and very frustrating to know that some police actually do treat people like that when they don't know when there's stuff going on with the kid. And, a lot of people, if he reacts violently that way, then the police are just going to be called and he's going to go to jail or something. And it's not actually going to be dealt with because it's actually a problem that needs to be dealt with when he's a kid and not older. And then someone says, mute the group chat and contact experts for advice for your nephew. I muted the group chat, and I know this is a me issue, but I can't help but check on it every few hours and feel bad about causing a fight. I'm soft, I know. As for my nephew, I don't mean to sound rude, but what good would that do? Yes, I can have an expert weigh in their opinion, but at the end of the day, my sister won't get him help, so what would be the point? Once again, I don't mean to be rude. Commenter says, as part of a longer comment, if she plans to send her child to public school, her neglect will become extremely obvious when he is unable to manage himself, and she tells mandated reporters she refuses to get him the help he needs. Well, I can only hope for the child's sake that that is what will happen, that her abuse will become seen and everything will come to light because the kid needs help. Okay, he needs help to figure out whatever is going on with him and he needs help to deal with it. Okay. OOP, this issue already came up. He's close to turning 5, and last school year he was supposed to be in preschool. He was enrolled, and of course the workers/teachers noticed his issues right away and tried to convince my sister to sign him up for the special ed program in the preschool and for behavioral therapy. She outright refused, went off on them, and pulled her kid from the program. He's going to start kindergarten in the fall, and my sister said if they insult her son, she'll pull him out and homeschool him. I feel bad for my nephew because it's not his fault he was born with these issues that cause him to act out when he gets overwhelmed. I sincerely hope my sister wakes up and gets him help, or that once he grows up, he'll get help himself. I can tell you, as a person who didn't get diagnosed with autism until I was basically an adult, like I got diagnosed at age 17, special ed and the help that I needed would have been incredibly useful and helpful for me when I was a child. So I could get what I needed in school and in life. But, I mean, this was basically my dad's reactions to things. And like, I remember my dad coming to me when I was like 7 and saying, "Your mom thinks you're retarded." When in reality, what she said was, "I think our daughter has autism, so maybe we should get her tested." My dad didn't like that at all. And once again, because this is what narcissists do, he decided to put the blame on my mother. At the time, I didn't even know what he meant. Like, I just kept playing with my toys or whatever. I heard that word and I was like, "What the fuck was that about?" And I just went right back to playing with my Lincoln Logs. I don't know. Does anyone remember Lincoln Logs, by the way? Anyway, does the family know the kid is a nightmare? OOP. They know the child is a nightmare. They keep pretending he's not and ignore the issue, but they know. They don't want to piss my sister off by mentioning it, as she goes nuclear with insults and fights whenever someone brings it up. I love my family, I love my nephew, and I love my sister, but it is so wrong to just ignore the issues he has. He needs help. There is something wrong in his head. I'm not saying that to be mean or cruel or ableist in any form, but it's the truth. OOP responds to a longer comment. I really hope I wasn't offensive with my wording. It feels wrong to say this kid has things wrong with him in the head or he's messed up in the head, but I genuinely don't know how else to describe it. I really didn't phrase it that way or to be mean or ableist or any kind of ist or phobic, but that's the only way I can think of to describe it without a diagnosis. I don't know how much help with CPS would be. We live in a small town in the south. I don't even know if CPS has an office down in our town/district. The nearest town over is a rundown city with a high crime rate, child abandonment rate, and drug use rate, so I can imagine that the CPS officers there are probably overwhelmed. Sounds like she has mental health issues too. I don't want to speculate, but I don't think she does. I think she's just ableist towards mental health disorders specifically. I'm not saying that mentally ill people can't also be prejudiced towards others with disorders and mental illness, but she doesn't show any signs of having any mental illnesses, so I don't think she has any. I could always be wrong, as I'm not a therapist or a doctor, but this is just my perspective from growing up with her. Commenter, maybe Winnie's too much for everyone else in your family, and she really has no help at all if she will take steps to get her son the guidance he needs. OOP. My parents used to try and tell her this when he was a smaller toddler, and showing these behaviors. They were more tame then, and have escalated as he got older. She blew up, said that if they kept insulting her kid, she wouldn't let them see him again. Obviously, I can't imagine the position that put my parents in. They love their children and grandchildren, so I can imagine a threat like that would make them cave. From the sister's point of view, the problem is my sister doesn't want him to be diagnosed with anything. She has this belief that kids are overdiagnosed as a way for pharmaceutical companies and hospitals to get more money out of parents and insurance companies. And I agree to an extent that we do have an issue of over medicalization in our country and that we tend to slap pills and medication over the problem rather than find a way to actually resolve it. However, that doesn't mean I think that medication isn't the solution in some cases. I don't know what would help my nephew, but I'm pretty sure that doing nothing is making it worse for him. OOP's family and their views. My parents and brother don't share the same beliefs about mental illness that she does, and I was in no way raised in any way that could even remotely cause that belief. I'm still shocked, angry, and horrified she said that about my friend's wife. I also feel like I need to address in itself. She literally said my friend should be sterilized and prevented from having kids because she has a mental illness. I can't even wrap my mind around how cruel someone can be to say that a woman who's always wanted to be a mom and is a great mom should be sterilized simply because she has a mental illness. A few last clarifications from OOP. One, my sister makes enough money to live comfortably with her and her son. Hiring a sitter would put a bit of a strain on that. They're in that financial bracket where they're comfortable, but they can't afford expensive things or afford to pay for extra things. I guess you could say they are lower middle class. Two, according to them, they are parents being too old. My mom retired early from a state job and has a part-time easy job, and my dad is still working a different state job for a few more years. Three, my sister's ex isn't the dad. My sister has red brown hair. Her husband had brown hair. Kid came out with a very light blonde hair. My family didn't see this as odd because I have a very light white looking blonde hair color, and one of my nieces also has blonde hair, so we just figured my sister carried the recessive gene. Husband wasn't suspicious of anything either until his sister broke down in a panic at the blonde hair and confessed that while they had been a short break of after a fight she had slipped around a bit. Husband left because he didn't agree to opening the marriage during the break and didn't sign the birth certificate. Sister has no idea who the father is and has no way to get in contact with any of the guys she slept with. And then an update post. 3 days later, July 26th, 2024. So, shit has hit the fan. My original post was about 3 days ago, and ever since that post, my sister's behavior escalated. I tried to talk to her about getting help for my nephew, and she kept screaming at me every time I brought it up. She said a lot of derogatory terms towards people with mental illnesses and mental disabilities, terms I won't repeat here. That wasn't the only escalation. She was at my door several times a day starting 2 days ago, the day after I made my original post, banging on my door, screaming, crying, cursing, the works. She brought my nephew each time, and he always looked so confused and defeated. He was too tired to react or meltdown like he normally does around loud noises, and it broke my heart to see that on my doorbell camera. I wasn't at my house. I was crashing with my friend and his wife. I took the advice of a commenter who said to put some physical distance between me and my sister. They said I was free to stay as long as I helped out with some house chores and childcare while I stayed, which I thought was more than fair. So I'm staying in their guest room currently. I'm still with them even though my sister isn't much of a problem. Many will be glad to know that my sister won't have parental rights over my nephew soon. Thank God. She dropped him off at a safe haven site in the middle of the night. Totally a fun phone call to wake up to at 2 in the morning and then an annoyed face. And my nephew is currently with my parents. Social services placed him with my parents, and he's set to have mandatory therapy. Thank God. In my state, I don't know if it's different in others. If a child is abandoned in any way, safe haven or not, a physical and mental health examination is done. Other than being a little bit underweight, my nephew was physically healthy. He wasn't being physically abused like a few people were worried about, but it was obvious he needed mental help, so he'll be starting therapy sessions soon as mandated by a caseworker. We are not looking for my sister. After she dropped her son off, she left. She had quit her job a few weeks back, sold her car, and even her house a few weeks ago, and had been renting a place, so this was planned. In my personal opinion, she planned to abandon her son the day I was babysitting my friend's baby, which is why she had such a nuclear reaction. She did leave a note saying she can't do it anymore, she met someone, and that she doesn't want to be a mom to my nephew anymore. In her note, she said she deserves a normal kid and not a burden like my nephew. I seriously hope that my sister doesn't have any more kids with this mystery person she's referencing, but it seems like she's running off to start a new life and family. She still has 30 days to reclaim rights over my nephew, but it doesn't look like she'll do that. Time will tell. Like I said, I'm still with my friends because I'm worried my sister would do something. My parents and brother would have also been blowing up my phone and coming to my house, switching between apologies and blaming me for this. They think that maybe if I babysat that day, she wouldn't have done this, but I think she wanted me to babysit so she could do this. I'm not mad at them for blaming me. I understand that my sister is still their family, and they're rightfully in shock and want someone to blame. They're human, and I know humans can be cruel sometimes while going through shock and grief. So yeah, that's life right now. I'm currently sitting on the couch with my friend's baby while my friend is at work and my his wife does a quick grocery run. She was going to take the baby, but I insisted on watching him so she didn't have to hassle with the car seat in the very stormy weather we have in our area right now. This update is all over the place. I feel like I'm rambling. There's still a lot of unknown stuff regarding my sister and nephew, but for now, this is the update. I don't know if I'll post more regarding this situation. My friend's wife is telling me I should relax and just not think about anything relating to this until I'm more level-headed, but I don't think that's possible. Yeah, of course. Okay, this is crazy, you guys. Wow. And I feel bad for the nephew the most in this story. Like, I feel bad for everyone. I feel bad for the sister, even though she does bother me like a lot, especially what she's saying about, people with mental health issues that they should be sterilized and not have kids. But, like, I feel for the 4-year-old nephew the most. He is the most affected by this. He has this mom who is refusing to take proper care of him and deal with his issues, and he's going to suffer because of it. And he's suffered because of it, and luckily things are looking better going forward, and hopefully he's getting the help I need. Relevant comments. One commenter says, "Your sister clearly has her own severe mental health issues she's refusing to acknowledge. As fucked up as it might have been, this is best for your nephew. Also, I didn't know you could just drop a child off of any age at a place like that. I thought any child over 2 couldn't be released like that. OOP, I don't know my state laws, so I don't know. Because I'm not directly involved in the case, I'm not getting updates. When I say we are not looking for her, I mean me and my family. Police could be looking for her, but I'm out of the loop on this whole case." Okay. And then another update post. Oops. Will I be the asshole for not forgetting? Okay. Oh, here, update post 2. August 6th, 2024, 11 days later. Will Title, will I be the asshole for not forgiving Will I be the asshole for forgiving but not forgetting my family for blaming me for what my sister did? My sister abandoned her 5-year-old son a little less than 2 weeks ago and fled. Police are looking for her, but she hasn't been found yet. My nephew is with my parents and is in therapy. When that first happened, my parents were quick to blame me because I had refused to babysit the kid in the past, and the weekend before my sister ultimately abandoned him. They think had I babysit him that day, she wouldn't have fled. I've been staying with my friends since then, and oh my god, it's chill here. They're young parents with a baby, and yet it's chill here. Everyone is happy. They talk things out when there are issues. They work together. I've met both parents of my friends, and they're nice and polite. Obviously, I don't know what goes on behind closed doors, but I have seen some bickering, and they always find a way to resolve it. Growing up, my parents always argued a lot. My siblings were always loud and cruel to each other at times, and there always had to be someone to blame. If you were the person who was blamed, you were insulted and shunned for a while, then they would apologize. You were always expected to forgive and forget. My parents are trying to apologize to me about their blowout at me regarding my sister, and I can understand their initial feelings. I'm willing to forgive, but my family will also expect me to forget, but I can't forget. I don't think I can forget this whole situation, so I'm wondering if I would be the asshole if I chose to forgive them but refused to forget this whole thing. Okay, I actually want to know. Let's go to the actual post because there are no relevant comments here. Okay. Not the asshole. Your sister chose to have a child. They should have babysat him if they thought it wasn't her duty to take care of him, which it was her duty, of course. Your parents are not cases. I wouldn't forgive them so easily, even if for the fact that they will do something like this again in the future if you let it slide too easily. Say you need time to forgive and you don't want them to contact you for a while. If they get nasty over it, say that they clearly are not truly apologetic and that now you need even more time away from them and stick to it. Not the asshole, they were upset and you were the outlet. Sounds like they don't process things in a healthy way and there's no indication that it'll go away. It's your sign to be cautious. Dude, your parents are looking for a free babysitter. Don't get sucked back in. Tell them that you don't exist to lay blame on, and to try to raise this kid better than they raised her mother. Yep, all is forgiven. Come home and babysit. That's exactly what's happening. They want to dump the nephew onto OP. She's being played yet again. And then a deleted person says, "It is totally understandable that you're upset. As other commenters have already said, you are not even slightly responsible for your sister's choices. She is responsible for her own child. I think you should tell your parents what you said here, that it's like living in a war zone at your house, and it's depressing to be around people who are unhappy. You're tired of being blamed for things that aren't your fault. The atmosphere is so much better at your friend's house. Let me be clear, it is incredibly destructive and unhealthy behavior to insult and shun someone and then expect to be able to apologize and move on. Behavior and words matter. Like you said, we don't forget being treated badly. Point is, you don't have to forget that they've treated you this way. You can say that it's just not okay for them to hold you accountable and make you feel miserable for things that have nothing to do with you. My advice is to stay with your friend as long as possible and soak up those examples they're showing you of how to treat people and behave. I grew up in a violent and verbally abusive home and had the same experience you're having, where staying at a friend's made me realize how people should treat each other. You can have happy relationships and kids of your own if you absorb the lessons at your friend's house. Good luck. Forgiveness doesn't mean a return to the status quo. Forgetting means a return to dysfunction junction. Find a permanent place. You are not responsible for for your sister's choices. Trying to make you responsible is wrong. Babysitting just allows her to shirk her responsibilities. All right. Let's see the next story. Okay, new update post. April 29th, 2025. I almost said 1995. 2025, 8.5 months later. Title, Am I the asshole for spending the exact amount of money I claimed I didn't have? I'm about done with this whole BS and ready to just completely cut contact with my family after this whole mess. My sister got arrested a few months ago on several charges, including child endangerment, abandonment, and drug charges. She's been court ordered to go to an inpatient rehab, but our state doesn't pay for it, which means that she has to pay for it. She does not have a job and has little to no savings after burning through them on some drug bender. Of course she does. I work remotely and have a pretty decent income from my field and area. My parents are saying that I need to pitch in and help pay for the rehab because they and my brother and his wife are also paying a portion, and if I contribute, then they won't need to pay as much because it will be split 5 ways instead of four. Here's why I think I'm definitely the asshole. I asked my parents for the exact amount they want me to contribute. It was a fairly decent amount. I could afford it, but I was feeling petty after everything with my sister. My best friend recently had her second baby. Aww, yay! And I decided to take the exact amount my parents requested from me and spent it on getting my friend some extra baby supplies, toys, decorations, clothes, and a few early Mother's Day gifts. When my mom texted me and asked for the money, I sent a picture of my shopping spree for my friend and said I had already spent the money on a proper mom. She called me the asshole and said I could have just said no and not give them hope I would pay. So, so, um, so Reddit, am I the asshole? I think I am, but I feel justified. Edit, title might be confusing. I told them I had the money. Then, after they got their hopes up, I said I didn't have it anymore because I spent it on someone else. Sorry for the confusion. Comment, you're the not the asshole for not giving the money. You're the asshole for lying and then mocking. OOP, yeah, I can admit that. I'm just so fed up with them trying to get me to cover my sister's irresponsible ass. Oh my god, what a toxic family structure. I want to see this actual post so I can read some comments here. Yeah, not the asshole for not giving the money. You're the asshole for lying and then mocking. Yeah, I can admit that. I'm just so fed up with them trying to get me to cover my sister's irresponsible ass. Set a boundary with them. This is not my addiction and not my financial responsibility. If you continue to ask me for money, I will have to distance myself. R/Alanon could assist if this is affecting you. My god, you really need to step away from them. You're in danger of repeating the cycle of cruelty and forgiveness. You are not your best self when around your family. You could cut them off and go no contact, or continue to interact with them and act like a version of yourself that you do not like. And for good reason, that stunt was fucked up. I don't care that you were the asshole. This is glorious. Fuck them, they are horrible people. They deserve every bit of this. You are very petty. Don't get me wrong, I understand it and it's justified, but maybe a little over the top. I would suggest going to very little no contact, to very low contact or no contact for the foreseeable future. The atmosphere in your family is toxic as it is and could lead to say or do things that you can't take back. You have to decide what person you want to be. Right now, you're cruel and petty. It's not eternity false to be petty sometimes, but don't let it be your normal. Good luck. Sorry for spelling. English isn't my first language. I think you expressed yourself in English very well. I strongly agree with you regarding the pettiness and it's being justified. OP needs to stop letting them bait her. Go about your life and don't respond to their drama heavy and passive aggressive communications. I am not responsible for the child. I cannot and will not engage or respond anymore to your bullying. Then the next time they start with it's what family does bullshit, advise them that you're blocking them for a period of time you'll determine in the future and block them. Ignoring them is the only thing you should do here. The state wouldn't and can't force you to parent your nephew. I do know how it feels to be a single mother, and I also can imagine that your sister may have been pressured into having a child before she was able to care for it properly, and it was probably extremely painful to be her right now. But that child deserves a parent who is able to devote themselves to helping your nephew heal. The trauma of this rejection is so loud and in his face. It's just a damn shame that he wasn't put up for adoption immediately. Giving up a child is gut wrenching. I can't imagine anything more painful. Well, I can, and that would be being that child. I hope everyone gets some counseling here. Trauma enough for everyone. And someone else replies, "Cruel and petty? She literally just sent a picture. She didn't abandon a kid. Some of y'all try to look empathetic, but you were just showing how much of an enabler you would be in the same situation." The guy actually has a couple upvotes. That's annoying. I was in a very similar situation, only I paid for everything, and then she blew it all and ran away, abandoning her two sons. I think you're the justified asshole, to be quite honest. That's what I think here. Alright, let's read the comments on Best of Redditor updates. She needs to just cut her family off. They clearly think because she has no children of her own that her time and money belong to the family instead of to her. Even though she made it clear she doesn't want to babysit this kid ever, I bet her parents are going to try to get her to do it for them because the kid sounds like a nightmare. I'm not mad at them for blaming me. I understand that my sister is still their family, and they're rightfully in shock and want someone to blame. They're human, and I know humans can be cruel sometimes while going through shock and grief. These are the words of someone who's been expected to placate their whole family their whole lives. That kind of training is hard to break, and often results in acting out in unhealthy ways, like in OOP's latest update. Yes, it's like she herself isn't family. Not important family, at least. She doesn't cause enough chaos to be important. It's easier to bully OOP than to try to reason with the insane sister. Yeah, anything but rocking the boat. The reasonable one was always told to shut the fuck up so as not to upset the one causing all the chaos. Ugh. Some family members are more family than others, maybe. It is this case in my family. I'm definitely the lowest here in any way it shakes out. I don't consider them my actual family anymore. My cousin was in the exact same spot as you. He's like an older brother to me and always ready to reach out and help. His family used his kind nature against him and even tried to force him out of college so he could pay for his sister's lavish as hell wedding with the money which my step grandparents saved up for his college. Luckily, my stepdad saw through his scheme, put a stop to it. He later welcomed my cousin into his home. My cousin now absolutely has no contact with his family and only sends money to those shitheads because of stupid and outdated laws in our country. Ah, that's exactly my situation too. My best friend jokes that they probably bought me off of someone and I'm not really related to them. For my wedding, my mom didn't show up. For my brother's wedding, she called me as soon as she found out to tell me that one, I need to do my best to not be an embarrassment to the family, and two, I need to give him $2,000 to help pay for his wedding. Three, I need to pay for a fancy meal for 20 people with a minimum budget of $50 a person. She didn't ask how I was and hasn't called since. I expect nothing from any of them at this point. I put up with them because they're wealthy and they are my kid's backup plan if I die. They won't love my kids, but they will have no problem but dropping my kids off at a boarding school. Nah. Those are not my kids. Honestly, those are not my kids. Those would not be my kids' backup plan if I died. And they were like that. I want someone that's gonna love my kids. finding out you are part of the subfamily sucks. Ugh, ugh. I hate that. Mm. Yeah, this poor kid, man. This poor kid. I got about halfway through the first post before going, oh shit, this is the one where the sister abandoned her son. Not at all surprised they caught her and slapped on drug charges. The money thing was very petty, and it's probably just more proof she should go fully no contact. Yeah, there's a point where it's like you are not your best self around these people, and you really have to leave when it gets to that. I mean, that's what I did when I was. That's okay. I think I'm done. Um, So I'm gonna go and edit this video and put it all together. And I love each and every one of you guys. Please don't forget to always be yourself. You are valid. Don't forget to be good to yourself and to others. And I will see all you guys in the next video, which will be on the 29th. And I might make a video before that. I might not. We'll have to see. But don't count on it. I may or may not. We'll see. Anyway.